apologies if you're just joining us on the live stream and didn't have audio coming through there. Should be on now. So watching the combined 2,000 metre and 3,000 metre steeplechase races. So looking through some of the fields tonight, the 2,000 metre and 5,000 metre men's races in particular. So watching one of our Randwick athletes go around in the steeplechase. That's one of the Randwick boys. That's Max Russell, I think. Just going around the front turn now. And that's one of our Westfield's junior girls. That's Ava Hanor. That's one of our Kembla joggers coming around as well, Jordan Martin, I think that is. This event, one of the first steeplechase opportunities of the 2020-21 summer season. Some excellent races on later on tonight, in particular the 800 metres, the 2,000, which will be a great preview for the New South Wales 3K Championships next week, as well as the 5,000 metres. Which features some of the athletes who went around in the New South Wales 10,000 metre championships not too long ago. So some of our athletes getting the bell now in this 2 kilometre event. And I think we're getting our first finisher now in the boys 2K steeple, and that's Max Russell of Randwick Botany Harriers coming over to take the win there. And this is one of our Sydney Athletics Academy youngsters, Joel Solomon. I think that's a Kembla joggers singlet in behind him of Lockie Haining, and Westfield Sports Lachlan Baptist. Some of our ladies 2K athletes coming in now as well. I think this is our ladies winner. I think that might be Olivia Civilis of Athletics Wollongong. No, pardon me, Hayley Dombrin of Victory Runners. And coming in behind her from Sutherland is Mia Tui. And now from Westfield Sports, Ava Hanor. This is the Sydney Athletics Academy athlete coming in. I think that's Kelly Holmes, if the hip numbers aren't lying to me. I think one of the youngsters from now, I think that is Hamish Mclaren, finishing off the 2K. We've still got one of our 3K athletes going around. I think that's Sophie Gosher of the Ryde Athletics Centre, running the 3K steeple here tonight. I think this is Ruby McPhillips going around for Kembla Joggers in the 3K. Swing back around to the home turn now, and this is Sophie Gosher of the Ryde Athletics Centre. And Sophie's going to pick up the bell now in this 3K steeple. Sophie clearing the last water jump over on the far side of the track, and we'll swing around to come into the straight and take out the ladies 3,000 metre steeplechase here at the third meet of the Sydney Miler Series. Negotiates the last barrier, and we'll come down to take out the win in the 3K event. Over on the back straight now, that's the Kembla Joggers athlete of Ruby McPhillips. Haven't had a great run of luck with the weather here recently. The 10,000 metre championships were marred by torrential rain in the afternoon, and the Albie Thomas meet last year, of course, covered in the bushfire smoke that blanketed much of Australia at the time. Some rain threatening tonight, but hopefully it holds off. As Ruby McPhillips clears the last barrier in this 3,000 metre steeplechase and will come in behind Sophie Gosher to take second place in the 3K steeple. So we're just about right for a start in the community 5K race. We'll go through the start list once they're underway. So the athletes just going out to the split start here for the community 5K. So off they go in the community 5K. We'll go through this start list. Decent sized field of 22 here. Josh Keys and my usual commentary partner James Constantine of Delta Running Project are the first two on the start sheet. James Holtman and Peter Wallace, the next two away in hip numbers 3 and 4. Colin Dunn of Run Crew runs inside Julianne Brolberg of Randwick Botany Harriers. Patrick the Wolf O'Grady from Run Crew runs in hip number 7 and has just put his way right to the front of the field there, going off like a bull at a gate. 36 seconds through the first 200 metres, so the Wolf's off and racing. Katie Roger next in hip number 8 from Ricky Yim of Run Crew in hip number 9. Ramosh Krakunen of Sydney Striders inside Jane Wegner. Tony Sinaboldi of host club Bankstown runs inside Natalie Wong of Sydney University. There inside Carl Duncliffe and Cameron Faircy. Keaton Harrison of the Blue Mountains runs inside Sarah Cato. Nia Moran and Jessica Burke, both of Run Crew, in hip numbers 18 and 19. David Roseberry, unattached athlete, in 20. Sendo Cato of Woodstock Runners goes in hip number 21. And Wayne Cooper rounds out the field of 22 in this community 5K event. So good little breakaway at the start here. These sort of a group of 3. Just looking for hip number there. So hip number 9, as you can see, that's Ricky Yim of Run Crew at the front of the field, unless my hip numbers are wrong here. Patrick O'Grady sitting in behind him. And, well, that's definitely not Jessica Burke in hip number 19. So that's a little bit out. About a 79-second lap through there. So think our hip numbers might be slightly out there. As you can see the leaders going around. There's James Constantine running when he should be commentating. Let's get a nice shot of the sun starting to set over the back of the crest here at this twilight meet. Tony Sinibaldi of Bankstown sitting in the back there, and a big contingent of Randwick and Run Crew athletes then off the back. It's Abdon Euler of Host Club Bankstown on screen, wearing hip number 23. So our leaders come around now. This will be the 1,000 metre split for them. Just going to be outside 3:10 or so. Come through the 1K mark in about 3:18. So what's that, sitting on about 16:40 pace for the front two. Patrick O'Grady has remembered he's an 18-minute runner and not a 17-minute runner, and just dropped back from that leading couple. Patrick, of course, the second best athlete in his family, the father of Gabriella O'Grady of World Junior 400 metre and World Uni fame. So a shot there of the athletes coming around the front turn. One of the Randwick youngsters there. That's young Julianne Broberg of Randwick. See a shot there of James Constantine in the back of picture, as well as the leaders come around 1,400 metres. Let's get this split here. 81 second lap, so holding this pace reasonably well. It's one of the Run Crew youngsters coming into shot. I think the hip number information might just be a little bit out here. Leaders just coming down to the start finish line now. We'll get a split here. In fact, there's been a change in the lead there. About 79 seconds through the, that'll be the 1,800 metre mark. I'm just trying to pick up a singlet there. Can't quite just make out that leader's singlet. James Constantine coming into shot now. And he's overtaken the fast starting Patrick Wolf O'Grady. So the leaders are through 2K, coming down to the 2200 now. They go through in another 80-second lap, so the leaders holding the pace quite nicely here at the front of the field. As you can see them coming to shot as some of our athletes warming up. If you weren't with us earlier, the New South Wales 3000 metre championships being held next weekend. Always one of the landmark events of the calendar. Really the unofficial start of the distance running season in earnest in New South Wales. And given the year that it's been, we fully expect those entries to fill up and sell out. So you're watching at home and you haven't yet entered the 3K champs, I'd be getting onto that. With the COVID protocols, there won't be any late entries or any entries taken after we get over the prescribed cap. So make sure you get in early, don't miss out. Leaders through now in another 80-second lap, so really holding this pace nicely up the front. Next time around will be the 3 kilometre mark. James Constantine, my usual partner in commentary, going around 16 low guide his best, not on track for that tonight. There's Patrick O'Grady of Run Crew coming into shot. I think Run Crew have got 57 athletes here at the meet tonight, that they either part of their club or coach. Great turnout from them. Let's look at one of their youngsters. Actually, no, I think that's a Fit Performance youngster going around. So I think that's the 3K mark for our leaders, and they've gone through there in about 10:04. So pretty handy running there. So looking ahead to what's on the timetable after this, next race will be the mixed 5,000 metre B race. That will incorporate our ladies as well. Then have the graded 800 metre races, and the men's go down to D in those events, and the women's go down to C. So some good 800 metre racing early in the season. We'll then have the 2,000 metre races as a men's and a women's A and B race in each of those events, which will really be a good preview of the 3K champs to be held next week. And then, of course, as is customary, we'll have all of our A races back-ended together. Now, the pace at the front of the field has slowed just a little tiny bit, about another 180-second lap or so, maybe 81 through there. Got a leading group of 2. So you may have heard over the stadium announcement there for those here in the stadium. Any starters for the mixed 5,000 metres, if you can go down to the start-finish line and pick up your numbers. That's the mixed 5,000 metre race. James Constantine comes through in 11:55 or so. I think he'll have a mile to run, if I'm not mistaken. So a couple of athletes in behind him, just trying to pick up that singlet. sure it's on our start sheet, unfortunately. Patrick O'Grady finds himself in a train there. I think that'll be a mile to run. Coming through in 12:37. Trying to get on the back. One of the athletes there, a bit of a group forming together there. One of the youngsters from Fit Performance coming up behind him as well. Abdon Euler of host club Bankstown. James Constantine coming around about 1,200 metres to run. Here's a good group running together. I suspect our leaders will be around the 1,000 metre mark. The leader's really holding the pace here, so about another couple of 80-second laps there, so running very strongly. And that will be 2 laps to go, I suspect, for the leaders. It's a good shot of James Constantine coming down the start-finish line. If I'm not mistaken, this will be 2 laps to run. Hopefully I haven't done to him what he did to Lauren Reid at the 10K champs and get the bell lap wrong. So about 14:53 for Jimmy through 2 laps to go. So he's looking at probably just over 17 minutes, I suspect. So we're getting the bell laps for our leaders. So they come around with 400 metres to run. So looking at a time well under 17 minutes for the leaders. I suspect Patrick O'Grady there with a couple of laps to go is looking to run sub 19, which he should be on track to do, particularly after that very fast start. Came around the first 200 leading the race. Not sure the coach will be ticking off on that strategy, but looks like it's going to work out for him as far as running a time goes. Some more athletes picking up the bell now, but I think our leaders will be just about coming into the straight. I don't think that's a... I think that might... Yeah, that actually may have been our winner there, and I think, yeah, there's second place now, so our winners of the Community 5K. Sorry, the hip numbers are lying to me at the moment, so haven't got a name on these guys. I suspect James Constantine will be one of the next finishers coming across the line. This should be the bell lap, I think, for Patrick the Wolf O'Grady. Pretty laboured look on his face now. Here's James Constantine coming around into the straight, so Jimmy going to get under that 18-minute mark and then keep on running back up here to the commentary box, I would hope. So Jimmy comes through in 17:43, 44 or so. Abdon Euler with the host club Bankstown going around. Some more of our athletes picking up the bell here in the Community 5K. This is one of our finishers for Run Crew. I think that's Colin Dunn coming in to finish for Run Crew. Some more of our athletes picking up the bell. Some big applause coming for one of our youngster finishers. This will be a finish for Patrick O'Grady as well, and I think he's just going to miss that 19-minute mark. So about 19:03 for the Wolf, who's worked pretty hard by the looks of it. Might have gone out a bit quick leading through the first 200. May not have been advisable. He did go through the first 200 metres in 36 seconds. Might have to reflect on some racing strategy there. One of our Ramwick youngsters coming across the line. Tony Sinibaldi of host club Bankstown as well. A few finishes now for Run Crew too. Some more of the athletes pick up the bell. Might be the first of our ladies finishes for Run Crew. So for those in the stadium, last call for the 5,000 metre mixed race. If you're in that race down to the start line now, please pick up your numbers. Another one of our finishes there for Run Crew in the ladies race. This Abdon Euler of host club Bankstown. Just a couple more to come over the line in this community 5K before we get underway in the mixed 5K race. Hopefully we'll have some more luck with the hip numbers in that one. Is this our Athletics East athlete? I think that's Wayne Cooper of Athletics East coming around the home turn. So Abdon Euler coming over the line to round out our community 5 kilometre event. Next on the track will be the mixed 5,000 metres. They're just over at the start line now, starting to head over. So not far from a start now in this mixed 5,000 metre race. Swing around to the back straight and have a look at the start line. So we go through the start line once they get underway in the mixed 5K. So this is in effect the men's B race and the women's A race running together. Guns up and off they go in our mixed 5K event. So we'll run through the start line now. Hopefully our hip numbers are a little bit better this time around. So Andy Coleman of Run Crew in hip number 1, Dave Kennett of Delta Running Project in hip number 2, Mick Chapman, Run Crew in 3, Abhishek Tiwari in hip number 4, Wayne Bullock in hip number 5 from host club Bankstown, Darren Purcell of Athletics East in hip number 6, Jack Roth of Fit 3 Performance in hip number 7, Louis O'Connell of Springwood goes around in hip number 8 as they go through the 200 about 37 seconds. Abby Rockcliffe of UTS Norths, very talented junior, runs in hip number 9. Devon Depler of the Hills District in 10. Joshua Engel of Kembla in 11. Bastian Masood of Run Crew in 12. Rebecca Brown in 13 inside of Phoebe Pincus, also of Run Crew. Jonathan Meeker from Trinity in hip number 15. Amy Davenport of Athletics East in hip number 16. Jimmy Shang of Sydney University in hip number 17. And Abdon Euler went around in the community race, so won't be in this event. Go through the 400 metres in around about 77 seconds. And the leading group probably about 8 or 10, and then that next group of about 3. Some of the juniors sitting in there. You see that leading group up the front there, led by Andy Coleman of Run Crew. You see the hip number 1 on his front, and the Delta athlete of Dave Kennett sitting in behind him in hip number 2. And I think it's Jack Roth of Fit 3 Performance in hip number 3 as they go through the 400, the 600 metre mark I should say, and it was about 81 seconds for that lap. Got a nice shot of them coming around now. The first turn, that's Wayne of Bankstown Sports sitting on the back of the field. Here's this chase pack of 3 led by Trinity's Jonathan Meeker And sitting in behind him is Amy Davenport of Athletics East on the back of that train as the leaders head up the back straight through the 800 metre mark at about 2:38 or so for 800. So they're in hip number order. Coleman from Kennett, run crew from Delta. And good little lead pack here of about 5 or 6. Sitting at the back of it is Abhishek Tawari. He's trying to make out his singlet. That's the blue vest sitting at the back there. Then that next group of 3 just starting to open up a bit, led by Joshua Engel of Kembla Joggers. And sitting behind them is Wayne Bullock of Bankstown Sports. So they're going to go through the 1,000 metre mark here in about 3:16 or so. So extrapolate that out to about 16.25, 16:20 pace. My maths is correct. So we watch this leading group come around, and that's our leading lady, Rebecca Brown. I think that's a run crew singlet she's got on, and now this next pack led by the Trinity athlete Jonathan Meeker. Sitting in behind him are the 2 ladies, Phoebe Pincus, and the Athletics East Amy Davenport. So this lead pack holding up reasonably well. Been a change at the front actually. They're doing a bit of work together. So this is Bastian Masood of Run Crew, who's come around their shoulder and gone to the front, picking up a bit of the work. Also sitting in that pack is Jack Roth of Fit 3 Performance, that gold vest just on the outside as they come through in about 79 seconds. So some work being shared at the front here, and then back onto the front now is Andy Coleman of Run Crew. So a few of these athletes look like they're working together. And a little bit of a change in this group. So it's Athletics East Amy Davenport who's gone to the front of this pack. And she comes in the front of Jonathan Meeker. And he's sitting in front of Phoebe Pincus as the lead pack's about to come through the 1,800 metre mark, so there'll be 2,000 the next time they get around to the 200. About 81 through that lap, so the pace holding up. And actually quite similar to the pace of the leaders in that community race. Another change at the front there. It's one of the Run Crew athletes in the baseball cap. I just can't make out the hip number there. This is our leading lady wearing hip number 13, which is Rebecca Brown of Run Crew. And Davenport of Athletics East is about 50 metres or so behind her. So that's the battle for the First Lady's position. Then Phoebe Pincus in behind her, and she's getting a nice trail off Jonathan Meeker of Trinity the youngster. So the leaders have gone through 2K. Looks like it was pretty similar to that first 1,000 metres as they run up to the start finish line. They've been hitting about 80-second laps, and they do that again. So 80 seconds on the dot. The work still being shared at the front. And it was Mick Chapman of Run Crew who was sitting there in the lead of that pack. He's dropped back into third, and it's now they're just still alternating that lead at the front. This is that chase pack that's been sitting there for most of the race. Bankstown local Wayne Bullock sitting in that group. Amy Davenport coming into shot now. She's really started to open a gap on this pair that she was running with early in the race of Metre and Pincus. Pincus still getting a nice trail from the Trinity youngster. So the lead group comes down. They've really stuck together, this lead group. Just Abhishek Tiwari just starting to fall off the back of it slightly, but still the five from there as they hit another 82nd lap. And sitting on the front now is Bastian Masood of Run Crew, who's taking up the duties just at the moment. So this group, 3 Run Crew athletes, 1 Delta and 1 Fit 3 Performance, all working together. This leading pack coming around to the home straight. Now this will be the 3,000 metre mark. 3:16 they went through the first K. And they've just slowed a little bit from that early pace. They're going to come through 3K in about 9:57. And it was another 79-second lap, so they are holding that 80-second, 79-second pace. You can just see that pack starting to string out a little bit now. As is the grouping in behind them. There's one of the Hills athletes, I think Devon Depler, getting around the corner, getting around the shoulder of Wayne Bullock of host club Bankstown. Just get the sense they're starting to dial this up a little bit at the front of the field. So we get a shot of our leading lady from Run Crew, Rebecca Brown. So lead group of 4 now, led by Dave Kennett of Delta. He's gone to the front of the field, just sitting in front of Bastian Masood of Run Crew. See if they've dialed this up a little bit, and they have. So 77 now. They clearly got to 3K, and then they've decided to string it out a bit. Great shot there of Kennett leading this train. It's really a group of 3 now at the front of the field. And they've really strung out this field at the front with not much more than a mile to go. Not much less than a mile, I should say. It'll be the 1,400 metre mark now. And we're down to a leading pack of 3. Rebecca Brown still leading the ladies' race as she tries to hold off Amy Davenport. And she should do that just looking at the track now. Davenport about a couple of 100 metres behind her. So this is the leading group. of 3. You see that lead pack come around. So Dave Kennett, Mick Chapman, and Bastian Masood, all of run crew. Two of run crew, and Kennett, of course, of the Delta Running Project, sitting at the front of this field. This will be the 4K mark. And they're going to go through 4,000 metres in about 13:11. So that about a 3:14 or so for that K. They have dialed it up from that sort of 80-second pace that they were sitting on through the first 3K and what looked like a pretty good field. So this will be 800 metres to run for the leading 3. Kennett of Delta now sitting on the front. And they've certainly wound it up. Remember, they were sitting on 80s early in the race. That was another 77. So it's Kennett sitting on the front of Masood. And then Chapman. And as the 3 of them run together. Coming into shot now is Amy Davenport of Athletics East, sitting in the second in the ladies race, and then from Fit 3 Performance, Jack Roth. And now one of our early leaders, Annie Coleman of Run Crew, coming into shot, and the Trinity Run Crew pair of Mika and Pincus still running together and have been for quite some time as we have a look at Joshua Angle of Kembla Joggers. But a bit of a move now at the front of the field. It looks like Chapman of Run Crew is struggling to hang on to the leading pair of Kennett and Masood. Kennett's done most of the work these last few laps for Delta, hitting that 77 pace. See if the Run Crew boys have got anything to respond with. So we're looking at just over 16-minute pace here as they come down and get the bell in about 15:04.75. So they have dialed it up. So Kennett from Masood and Chapman leading through. They've been part of the lead group all the way through this race. I said on 80-second laps early in the run, worked together with a big group of about 6. But now they are off the front and up the back straight for the last time. So Kennett from Delta on the front of Masood. Chapman now trying to go around their shoulder as they go up the back, and Chapman makes a surge. Kennett can't respond. Masood can. Goes around the shoulder of Kennett. So it's now Run Crew 1 and 2. Chapman from Kennett. And Chapman has taken off with 200 metres to run. It doesn't look like Masood or Kennett have a response to that. Gap opens up to 15-20 metres in the space of 100. And Mick Chapman of Run Crew is going to round the bend and take out the men's B race in the 5,000 metres. Kennett fighting back on Masood for second for Delta, but Chapman with the baseball cap is long gone. Closes in a 66-second last 400 to take the win for Run Crew, ahead of Kennett of Delta and Masood of Run Crew 3. The boys did plenty of the work together in the early stages of the race when they were running laps and working together, as our leading lady Rebecca Brown takes the bell for Run Crew. And here's Abhishek Tiwari, who was in that leading group as well, the backwards baseball cap, as he surges down to try and finish ahead of Devon Depler of Hills, but Depler will hang on. They go through in about 16:43. Some more of the finishers coming through now. This is our second lady of Athletics East, Amy Davenport, getting the bell. One of the Kembla boys finishing. That's Josh Angle in hip number 11. Some fast finishes here. These two are going to get the bell here. They've run the entirety of the race together. Young Jonathan Meeker and Phoebe Pincus. Pincus has had a lovely trail for the whole of the race. Here's the home athlete, Wayne Bullock of Bankstown, coming in to finish in 17:20. And Phoebe Pincus now getting an inside run on young Metre of Trinity, so I wonder whether that was a pacing exercise. And this is our first lady, so the winner of the ladies 5,000 metres, Rebecca Brown of Run Crew, coming into the straight, and will probably go sub 18 minutes here. Fantastic run. Rebecca Brown wins the ladies race in 17:53. And Amy Davenport of Athletics East tried to close the gap in the middle stages of the races, but Brown will have her measure by about 150 metres, but still a good time here. This will be sub 18:30 for Amy Davenport, the famous Athletics East club. And Davenport comes down to finish in 18:20 or so. It's the second lady, and our third lady into the straight as well. Phoebe Pincus of Run Crew and Jonathan Meeker of Trinity. Looks like it was a pacing job to me. Young Meeker's given Phoebe the inside rail for the run home, and they'll finish together as they spent the entirety of the race at about 18:35. So we're off in the first of the 800 metre races here at the community, here at the City Miles meet, third of the series. From the inside out, Bronson Brown, Will Hayden, Ben Maloney, Louis O'Connell, Wayne Cooper, Thomas Murphy, Angus Byrne, Akira Howard, Jimmy Riley and Alec Gleeson are the 10 starters here in the first of the 800 metre races. This is the men's D race, and they've gone off very, very quickly and strung themselves out here. Just looking at the front of this field, so hip number 3 there from Trinity, Ben Maloney, leads them into the straight, just ahead of the youngster from Bankstown. Just looking for a hip number there as they pick up the bell. A great shot of them coming around. It's young Will Hayden, I should say, from Bankstown, sitting in second. So these leading two going around. And then a gap back to Alec Gleeson wearing hip number 10. And then the Sydney Athletics Academy athlete Bronson Brown in hip number 1. But up the back straight for the last time. And it is Maloney from Hayden. So they come around with 200 yuan to run. Hayden, part of the Limitless Track team. Hyundai Car Music squad coming up from the Southern Highlands for this meet. And Hayden now making a move with 150 to go around the shoulder of Maloney of Trinity. See if Maloney's got anything to come back with here. Doesn't look like it, as Will Hayden from the home club Bankstown comes into the straight and looks poised to take out the men's D race. Little lock over the shoulder, but he doesn't need it. Will Hayden from Bankstown and Limitless Track team takes out the men's D 800 metre race ahead of young Ben Maloney of Trinity. And the Sydney Athletics Academy athlete of Bronson Brown has run himself into third place. Alec Gleeson trying very hard to hang on to fourth from a very fast finishing Angus Byrne of the Blue Mountains. And he will hang on to that. Now coming in Akira Howard of Run Crew. And just ahead of Jimmy Riley of Run Crew as well. That rounding out the field for the men's 800 metre D race. Okay, just about right to go in the men's 800 metre C race. We'll introduce them after they get underway. So off they go in the men's 800 metre C race.
So from the inside, Carson in 1, Jack Baker in 2 for Ride, Jai Holland in 3 from Bankstown, Kyle McIntosh, Sutherland in 4, George Cox-Wilson from the Scots in 5, Brody Elborn, Randwick Botany in 6, Daniel Hungerford, Kembla Joggers 7, Matthew Hogg from Run Crew in 8, and on the outside from Bankstown Sports is Hayden Brown in 9. So
looks like the youngster Jai Holland of Bankstown just getting up in the early part of the running, and then he's getting on the back of Daniel Hungerford of Kembla. They went through the 200 in about 29 seconds or so. Just looking for a hip number on the third athlete there. It looks like one of the Run Crew boys, Matthew Hogg, I think that is, sitting in third. And then a little gap back to the Ride athlete, Jack Baker. So they come into the straight for the first time, and the Randwick athlete getting up onto the outside, Brody Elborn.
So Elborn making a move as he tries to stick onto the shoulder of Hogg from Run Crew, but it's currently Hungerford from Kembla Joggers in first, 59 through the bell. So good on pace here for the 800 metre C races. Hungerford and the Bankstown athlete Jai Holland, they start to break away from the rest of the field. Run Crew's Matthew Hogg just trying to make up a bit of a gap there in third in the chase back, but it's now Daniel Hungerford Jai Holland just sticking with him. Stride by stride. It's going to be a good last 250 as they come along the back straight. Bit of a move also there from one of our ride athletes. That's Jack Baker. But it's these two still with a 5-minute lead. That chase back of 2. Try and make up the gap. Now it's Jai Holland just moving around the shoulder of Hungerford. So Jai Holland of Bankstown Sports try and make this the second 800 win for the home club. But a great run here by Matthew Hogg from Run Crew. And the third and fourth have just moved themselves in the first and second. So it's Matthew Hogg coming through now. It's also Hayden Brown of Bankstown Sports coming through. Hayden Brown on the outside. Matthew Hogg try move back, but it is Hayden Brown who takes it out. Great running there, about 2:01. Rest of the field coming across the line. Hungerford in third. Brody Elborn there, Ramwick Botany in shot. That was an interesting race, Matt. The third and fourth just went right past first and second to the home straight.
Yeah, had plenty in the tank, didn't they? I reckon they'll get about 1:59 officially. They might just get under that 2-minute mark.
So for those following along, the live results have just been posted as part of the live stream link in the description on the Athletics New South Wales and Distance Running in New South Wales Facebook pages, so you can follow along there to all the results from the night. I think we've got some no official results quite yet. They'll come through from our photo finish team shortly. As we move swiftly on to our next 800-metre race, will be the first of the ladies on the track over the 2-lap distance. Will be the women's 800-metre C race. Conditions, well, they're getting gustier out there. To be honest, there is quite a strongish wind just as you come round the first 100 on the bend, as the girls just about to get going in this women's 800-metre C race.
Fortunately, the rain stayed away for the time being, at least. But having said that, probably pour down momentarily. But they're just about right to go in the women's 800-metre C race. So from the inside out, Portia Palmerlee, Leah Metre, Maddie Ross, Isra Andrist, Scarlett Palmerlee, sister, of course, the Ramwick sisters, Lisa Metre, Sarah Cato, Sienna Colosi, Sophie Helene, and Aloe Carty of Run Crew round out the field of 10, pardon me. So quick starter out on the outside there. I'm just trying to work that out. Yeah, I think that's Portia Palmerlee of Ramwick Botany Harriers, rolling to the front of the field, but they're strung out early on here. Get some hip numbers as they come around into the straight for the first time. But as is quite often the case with the graded races, particularly a C race like this, we start to get a fairly big gap out at the front, and it is indeed Portia Palmerlee of Ramwick Botany Harriers sitting on the front of the field. She's just sitting in front of Sophie Helene of Run Crew, who's coming in second, and Scarlett Palmerlee, the sister of the leader, sitting third in the race. Through the bell now.
Okay, I think we can see our coach, Warren Williams, just take a photo there of the up and running squad. So great to see coaches out snapping their athletes.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the singlet. So it's the up and running squad singlet, but running for Ramwick Botany as well. Good to see the collaboration there. There's the two Bankstown pair. That's the old vintage Bankstown Little A's singlets there for Leah Metre and Isra Andrist.
Sarah Cato there from UNSW just coming in the picture as we pan back to the front of the field, and it's been a great run by Portia as she's got just over 200 metres to go. Of course, the up and running squad of Warren Williams feeds directly into the Ramwick Botany Harriers Club, so great to see Warren's athletes out here tonight. Portia's got 150 to go. She's run this race really well, actually. She's controlled it from the outset. Still looking really good with 100 to go. Good fast finish here by, I think that's one of the Bankstown athletes, Leah Metre, And she's moved herself up in the seconds. Some good bases for some my positions here. Isra Andrus coming through for third, but it's all Portia Pamela in our women's C race. Takes a good win there. It's going to be really tight on the line for second. I think Leah Matar's just going to hang on over Isra Andrus for second and third. And Sophie Helene from Run Crew comes through for fourth. Lisa Matar in fifth. I think that's Sienna Colosi, sixth. Maddie Ross, Sydney Athletics Academy. Sarah Cato for the UNSW runners. This is Scarlett Pamela, the sister of the winner of the C race. So I'll round out the field for the first of the women's 2-lap events.
So those will round out the... Oh, no, pardon me, we've got a women's B race as well. So just the 2 B races to come in the 800 metres.
This should be a really good race, actually. A lot of these guys, sub-2 runners, very, very competitive interclub runners. We'll often see them competing in A races on Saturday afternoons. So we'll have a quick look at the field as they are just about to get underway. From 1 in Trinity Athletics, Michael King. In 2, UTS North, Zachary Johnson. 3, St Ignatius, Mark Gerard. 4, Bankstown Sports, Pranish Chand. 5 from UTS North, Zeth Sutherland. 6 from Trinity Athletics, Ben Bishop. 7 from UTS North, Corey Firminger, the 400 metre specialist. 8, Bankstown Sports, Hamish Longworth. And in 9 from Cherrybrook and the Athletics New South Wales office, Matthew Joyce. So it should be a really cracking run. I think this will be quite quick through the first 200 particularly.
Put some 400 metre specialists in and you tend to get that. Never forget Steve Solomon running the 800 at the Albie Thomas last year. Just went through in a casual 50-51, I think, from memory.
Not far off world record pace.
Okay, here we go. Men's B race of the 800.
So they're away from the inside. King, Johnson, Gerard, Chan, Zutherland, Bishop, Firminger, Longworth and Joyce. And as you predicted, Matt, Firminger in the red of UTS North and 7 getting a quick start. Also going well on the inside. That's Michael King of Trinity. He's probably going to take the early lead here from Zachary Johnson from UTS. And we can see Firminger now moving into the lead here. So as you predicted, the 400 metre specialist leads them out. It's going to be quick through the first 200, about 28 and a half. So it's Firminger doing the work early. Then comes
King and Bishop.
King and Bishop, yep, the Trinity 2 and 3, yep. And just behind them is Zach Johnson. Also Mark Gerard there in the blue with the white stripe of St Ignatius. And that's Pranish Chand of Bankstown Sports in 6 as they're strung out early in this one.
Beautiful single file as they come down to pick up the bell. As you predicted, Jimmy, they've gone out reasonably quickly through the bell in about 56 seconds or so. So really getting along with it here. Firminger of UTS Norths leads the Trinity pair of King and Bishop. They're sitting in front of Johnson of UTS Norths, and then comes the St Ignatius athlete Mark Gerard as they head up the back straight. Haven't seen that singlet since the GPS Championships a couple of months ago. Here are the moves now starting to come. The Trinity pair have gone around the shoulder of Firminger. It's Michael King and Ben Bishop sitting at the front of the field, then Johnson. So they come around with about 150 metres to go.
So King starts to stride away. Can Bishop respond? There's a couple of strides in at the moment. Still going well as Firminger with his compatriot and Johnson in fourth, and Gerard just starting to lose touch as they come into the home bend. It's King. Can he hold on? Here comes Bishop, and here comes Firminger on the outside. Johnson on his outside as well. King trying to hold on. Firminger now starting to mount a challenge. Here comes Johnson as well, but it's King versus Firminger. Firminger's going to get it. 155 from King in second, Johnson in third, Bishop fourth, and Gerard in fifth. Hamish Longworth comes across the line there, and also Zeth Sutherland, Matt Joyce, and then Pranish Chand. A cracking B race. I thought it was going to be exactly that, and it's certainly delivered here at the Sydney Milers Club 3.
Fantastic B race.
Brilliant racing.
Firminger did the work early. Not often the 400 metre specialist putting the pace on in the 800 manages to come back in the last 200, but he clearly had enough of a kick left. Brilliant racing from Firminger. And a really good battle down the home straight from all involved.
I suspect a couple of PBs in that one, to be honest, because I think a few of those boys are around sort of the 157, 158 mark. So that's some really good racing in, as I mentioned before, some gustier conditions now. You can just feel the wind picking up on our backs in the commentary box up here at the top of the stadium. So not perfect conditions by a long shot, but some great running there in the men's 800 metre B race. As we move on to the last of the 800 metre B races, this will be the women.
So just before you give us a start list there, Jimmy, before we do that, for those in the stadium, if you're in the 2,000 metre B races, men's and women's, please head down to the start line now. We'll get you marshalled, and Jimmy will take us through the field now for the women's 800 metre B race.
So on the inside, in 1 for Bankstown Sports, Olivia Greenhalgh, and 2 for Run Crew, Frankie Riley, 3 for Trinity Athletics, Bronwyn Poole, 4 from Run Crew, Mabel Dukes, 5 from Bankstown, Ella Caluso, 6 Blue Mountains, Lily Patterson, 7 Nara Athletics, Emily Mclaren, 8 Run Crew, Amelia Williams, and Ava Honore from Westfield Sports in 9.
So off they go in the women's 800 metre B race. Lovely shot as they go around the first turn, and right on the outside from Westfield's Ava Honore, probably the fastest starter away from Ella Caluso in the centre of the track, and all the way back over in lane 1, Olivia Greenhalgh of Bankstown and the Limitless Track team. So it will be the Bankstown pair that go to the front of the field. Start of this race, Frankie Riley of Run Crew sitting in behind them. So it'll be a leading group of 4. With the rest of the field stringing in behind them as they go through the 200 metre mark in about 31 seconds. So Greenhalgh sits on the inside of her teammate in Ella Caluso, and also sitting up the front there. They've got a leading pack of about 5 or 6 as they come into the straight for the first time.
So the pace has just settled down momentarily here. It looks like Honore just moving around the shoulder now of Caluso. And they're the front two. We can also see one of the Run Crew athletes, Amelia Williams, just up there as well in 8. And in 3, there's Bronwyn Poole of Trinity Athletics. And just moving around the outside now, Olivia Greenhalgh of Bankstown Sports. They go through the bell at about 68. So 2:16 pace at the moment for these girls in the B race.
Yeah, so Greenhalgh happy to run a little bit wider to get the free running there. Honore was the fastest away, but let the Bankstown girls do the work up the back straight for the first time. As you mentioned, there's a pretty stiff breeze around the track here, but still a good half a dozen in this race, as it's Honore up the back straight from Greenhalgh, and then sitting in behind them, her Limitless and Bankstown teammate Caluso. I think that's one of the Run Crew athletes. I think it's Frankie Riley in behind them working up the back straight. We just need a hip number as they come around with 200 to run, though.
So it's Greenhalgh of Bankstown Sports. As she now starts to make a move on the rest of the field.
Honore,
yeah. Sorry, Ava Honore of Westfield Sports. So Honore just getting a few strides on the Run Crew athlete there. That's I think that's Amelia Williams as they come to the home straight. It's Honore from, Lily Patterson, and also Ella Caluso coming through now. But Ava Honore, she started early to control the race, and she's controlling it late. She'll take out the women's 800 metre B race. Good run there by the Westfield Sports athlete, about 2:18 as they cross the line. Second was Lily Patterson of Blue Mountains, and third Ella Caluso of Bankstown Sports.
Some good even running too. They went through to 68 and 70 for the second lap as more of the finishers coming in. That's Mabel Dukes just ahead of Frankie Riley of Run Crew. Sorry, I got that wrong in the call. And Amelia Williams rounds out the field for Run Crew.
Saw the black singlet. So just another reminder for those following on in the stadium and at home. We've got the live results link posted in the description on the live stream. So that's on both the Athletics New South Wales Facebook page and we've also got it on Distance Running in New South Wales. So those 2 Facebook pages. Of course, if you aren't yet a member of Distance Running in New South Wales, feel free to request to join, and we will process your request straight away, as we've got our phones in front of us right now. So feel free to jump on. Lots of good distance running content going up there pretty much daily. Everything going on in New South Wales at the moment, of course, as well as all the milers meets and Athletics New South Wales distance meets. So we'll be moving on to a couple of the more interesting races we've got here tonight at Sydney Milers 3. Of course, we're only 9 short days away from the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships, and as a result of that, we thought it would be a great idea to put on a 2K race as a official warm-up for the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships, and also the community 3K, which will be held at the Sydney Olympic Park Athletic Centre warm-up track next Saturday. We'll be kicking off with the men's B 2,000 race, followed by the ladies 2,000 metre B race, before we head to the main events of the night. Of course, the 2K distances, it's an interesting one. Do you run it like a 3K and finish hard, or do you go out like a 1,500 and a mile race and try and hang on for a lap?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's deliberately set at 2,000 tonight to try and be a gear up for next week. So be interesting to see if everyone wants to bury themselves tonight as well. Might just be a bit of a hit out, but you'll think there'd be a bit of white line fever there at some point. Just checking the timetable as well for those playing along at home and here in the stadium. So the 2,000 metre B race due to get underway at 8:50. So we'll be pretty close to that. A couple of minutes away. So might just be 2 or 3 minutes behind schedule here. That's pretty good by our standards.
Yeah, it's good timetable, I think.
The rain's staying away. Thankfully, it's a bit breezier than we would ordinarily expect at this time of night at the Crest. But so as we mentioned, the live results link is on the live stream on the ANSW Facebook page. So if you go to that post, the live results link is in that post. So yeah, a little bit windier than we'd like, but the temperature quite nice. A little bit humid earlier today, but it's certainly okay sitting here now. And fortunately, the rain has stayed away, which we weren't so lucky with at the 10K champs.
We're just getting the weather going down the levels just to prime for Albie Thomas, aren't we? So rain and wind. No rain tonight, just a bit of wind, and it's going to be perfect for December 19.
We'll be interested to see what the wind's like in another 40 minutes or so when the A races are rolling around. Hopefully things have calmed down a little bit by then. It's a reasonably stiff breeze, but we are sitting up the top here as well.
It's just when you head onto the back straight, just after the first bend, it sort of just hits you right in the face. I think we saw a pretty good example of that in that women's B800. You sort of almost, as they went around the bend there, the camera sort of caught the back of them. They sort of almost stopped a little bit before they gathered their momentum again as they went to the back straight. So, yeah, it's a good indication of sort of how strong that breeze is at the moment. But probably goes to show how good that men's B race, the 800, that's probably the race of the night for me. I didn't see a whole lot of the 5,000 B race we had with a couple of guys going low 16s, but it's a very good running.
It was a good race as well, actually. Yeah, it was actually quite similar pace to the leaders in the community 5K. So you're sitting at home wondering if you're good enough to be in a community 5K race. I promise you are.
Oh, we had, I think it was Abden, one of your athletes, run about 31 minutes, something like that.
Abden to be well into his 70s now. I don't think he'd mind me saying that. So, yeah, the community races are very much designed for everyone.
Well, it's great to see some of all walks of life, all walks of running life around Sydney. At the start line, I was standing next to people half my height. I was standing next to uni students. I was standing next to masters athletes. That's the beauty of these community races. And I was actually having a chat to Darren Purcell. Many would know Darren well, and he was saying you might not quite be race fit for 6 months of the year, and that's obviously understandable. It's a long season on the track from September to March, and if you want to just jump in and have a run, it's a perfect opportunity to do so for the community races.
For those that missed us earlier, if you were watching earlier, that we failed to press a button, so apologies for that. You missed our admittedly not overly informative preview of the night. But this, of course, the third meet of the Sydney Milers Series. There are 3 meets to go before Christmas, if I've got that right. The New South Wales 3,000 metre championships be held next week, as in what has traditionally been the real kick-off of New South Wales distance running for the new season. And I think with the COVID limitations on racing throughout this season, that will be more so this year. We've got, I think, what will be a sensational field, including some interstate athletes. I know you've been talking to, Jimmy, coming up from South Australia in particular.
Yeah, Adam Diddick's squad in particular. So we've got Adrian Potter, Max Stevens, Matty Clark, the steeplechase duo, and also Isaac Heen, one of the fabulous juniors. I think he might be 19 or 20. So yeah, a lot of guys who are very much capable of running sub-8, as we're not far away now for the B race of the men's 2K. So we're away. 16 stars in the B race for the men's 2K. From Run Crew in 1, Gary Howard. 2, Sydney Athletics Academy, Owen Dixon. 3, Sydney Athletics Academy, Jack McPhee. 4 from Run Crew, Damien Simpson. 5, Fit 3 Performance, Patrick Whale. 6 from Sutherland, Andrew Cross. 7 from Run Crew, Richard Zhang. 8 Blue Mountains, Thomas Murphy. 9 for Campbelltown Collegians, Javier Ruiz de Villa. 10 from Athletics East, we were just talking about him earlier, Darren Purcell. 11, Sydney Athletics Academy, Oliver White. 12, Sydney Athletics Academy, Henry Stewart. 13, Randwick Botany, Max Russell. 14, Blue Mountains, Angus Byrne. 15, Run Crew, Hallie Helene. And 16 from Victory Runners goes Joel Harlows. We've got 2 very definitive leaders early on.
I think it's Thomas Murphy from the Blue Mountains who's sitting in the lead. He's got that Randwick youngster in behind him, Max Russell, I think that is, and then a couple of the Sydney Athletics Academy pairs in behind him. That's Jack McPhee, of course, the leader of Sydney Athletics Academy, just sitting in behind one of his youngsters, Oliver White, as they come through the first 400 metres, and also sitting on the outside there, I think that was just missing a hit number there. Kobe Stewart. He's dropped from the A race into the B race. Yep. So they went through the first 400 in about 69, and now a little bit of a change at the front as Russell goes to the lead.
So group of about 5 or 6 leading the early proceedings in this one, as we can just see some of our juniors coming through. So yeah, lead group is 7 actually. So Russell leading earlier on from the Blue Mountains athlete in Thomas Murphy. We can just see the Sutherland athlete come around there. That's Andrew Cross, a very good Masters runner in his 40s, coming through there. So he'll fancy himself, actually, Andrew Cross. I think he really likes the 1,500 metre distances. See him a lot at Athletics New South Wales events, and he's decided to tag along to Russell, who's looking to break apart this field pretty early on through 600.
So one of the reasons for this race as well is to potentially run your way up the starting order for next week's 3K championships. Run well here tonight and improve your seeding chances for next week. My friend here will, I imagine, be doing that during the week. So they come through a little bit slower this second lap, which is often the case. About 73 after a 69 to lead them off initially. So still Russell sitting on the front, and that's Andrew Cross of Sutherland sitting in behind them there. Then White, and then the Sydney Athletics Academy pair of White and McPhee.
So they'll come down to the 1K marker very shortly, halfway through the race, of course, of the 2K. And they're going to be right around that 3-minute mark, aren't they? 2:55 on the clock at the moment. So still Russell from Cross, from White, and then Stewart and McPhee with Helene sitting in 6. So 3 minutes on the dot 2:58 through the first K, so just under 6-minute pace at the moment. Really good going here for our front six. As Russell, he looked to sort of put on a bit of a surge, but he's just dropped it back a little bit. 69 to a 73. It'll be interesting to see where he goes through this third lap in. And I reckon this is probably where the race starts at 2 laps to go with 1,200 done. Usually you'd have 300 metres to go in the 1,500. And these boys will have 800 to go. So a little bit of a different dynamic in this one.
So through there in about another 74. So it did slow a little bit. So Russell from Andrew Cross. Then they're sitting in front of Oliver White. Then young Kobe Stewart around the 10,000 chance. Then Jack McPhee. And just sitting in the back of them is the run crew athlete of Harry Helene. So that's your leading group of 6 as they went through the 800 metre mark to run. You can see them there, beautiful shots strung out down the back straight as Andrew Cross looks to make a little bit of a move perhaps up the back straight. And a good mix of the ages there as well of the athletes. And sitting around is the Sydney Athletics Academy youngster of Oliver White. And he's gone around the shoulder of Cross with 600 run, trying to get up onto Russell, just falling off the back there a little bit as the run crew athlete of young Harry Helene. So leading group of 5 now. I wonder if Jack McPhee, the coach of his youngster up the front in white, bit of a height difference there with 500 to run, has got anything left to give. But Russell has done a lot of the work from the beginning. Kobe Stewart now moving up onto the shoulder of White and Russell. They're going to come up and get the bell. It was quick early, 69. They went 73, 74, and this has dialed up just a tiny bit. They go through in about 72 with 400 to run. Russell on the shoulder of White, then Stewart, then Cross and McPhee. Helene has fallen off the back. See what they can close in. Max Russell, very laboured expression on his face, and see if White and Stewart can come back with him. And it looks like the 2 older athletes of Cross and McPhee are starting to fall off the back of the leading 3 youngsters.
So the youngsters in front of the Open and the Masters athletes at the moment, showing them who's boss. Is now White from Sydney Athletics Academy takes up the running past the tiring Russell. Has Stewart got something left in the tank as well, as he now starts to move up to the shoulder of Russell as well? But it's Oliver White who'll lead this lead pack of 3. He'll decide the placings with 200 metres to go. It's the green and white of Sydney Athletics Academy now starting to stride away. Russell trying to stay with him, and Kobe Stewart trying to muster up something as well. But as they come into the home straight, it's Oliver White with 5:41 on the clock. Very good chance of breaking 6 minutes here. It'll be very impressive for these young athletes. Oliver White, few strides ahead, looks to have this one wrapped up. Good battle for second between Russell and Stewart. Russell's holding strong, but it's going to be Oliver White as he comes across 5:56 with Russell and Stewart all going sub-6. Cross in 4th, McPhee in 5th in 6:02. And some great racing there by our 3 top juniors. Harry Helene here, run crew in 6. He'll come across in 6:11 with Gary Howard, his coach, in 6:12. And we've got 8 there. Thomas Murphy from the Blue Mountains as the rest of the field comes across the line. That's 4, Damien Simpson. And one of our juniors just behind him in Joel Harler from Victory Runners. Javier Reyes de Villa coming across from Campbelltown. And I think behind him is Richard Zhang of Run Crew just coming through as well. Great racing there by our 3 juniors at the top.
Yeah, fantastic racing there. I think they closed in about 61 as well. So some excellent racing there by the youngsters, just getting away from the 2 older athletes, Andrew Cross of Sutherland and, of course, Jack McPhee, the coach of young Oliver White. So that is the men's 2,000 metre B race. And just the women's 2K B race to go before we get into our A races for the night, kicking off with the 800s. If you're watching at home, hit that share button. We're about to get to the good part of the evening. And in fact, yeah, just one of our youngsters here coming in to finish. That's an oversight on our part. Apologies. Sydney Athletics Academy athlete. Just looking for a hip number there. Number 12, is it? Henry Stewart, I think, coming in to round out the field in the men's 2KB race. Pretty good race there, the 3 youngsters off the front.
Yeah, I wonder what the chat's going to be like on the Sunday long run. One of the Ollie White getting up over the coach.
The youngsters aren't doing too long a run on a Sunday. We've had some discussion about that recently, so keep it contained in your teenage years, boys. All right, so just the women's 2K B race to round out our graded races of the night, and then the 800, the 2K and the 5K men's A race to round us out here. But we were saying just before the start of that race, we've got the 3K champs next week, and then I just can't remember the date off the top of my head, but a Friday night lights meet will be at Narrabeen.
Yeah, 11th of December.
Well done. 11th of December. And that will be the official warm-up race for the Albie Thomas Mile, which will return to the Crest on the 19th of December, that Saturday. With any luck, there'll be some COVID changes before then. And I've got a call here, so for anyone in the stadium running the 800 metre A races, please head down to the marshalling area. But yeah, so the Albie Thomas confirmed for the 19th of December. Hopefully there'll be some COVID changes which allow us to have some more people in here. I'm just seeing behind me that the women's B race is lining up for a start, so we'll head back down there and we might go through this field once they get underway. Dave Higgins doing the officiating down there, as he does at so many of these Sydney Milers Clubs meets. Now there's 15 on our list, but only 14 on the line, as far as I can tell. But right to go in the women's 2,000 metre B race.
So we'll go through the field in 1 from Blue Mountains, Lily Passon, 2 Sydney Athletics Academy's Gemma Dixon, 3 Randwick Botany Harriers Ruby Fry, 4 from Sutherland Matilda Richards, 5 from Randwick Botany Nancy Newton, 6 from Randwick Botany Portia Pamela, 7 from Randwick Botany Rhea Singh, 8 from Randwick Botany Allegra McGiven, 9 from Blue Mountains Daniela Cook, 10 Sydney Athletics Academy Jean Stump, 11 from Nowra Emily Mclaren, 12 from Campbelltown Collegians Cecilia Ruiz de Villa, 13 from St George, Kira Bauer, 14 Sydney Athletics Academy's Poppy O'Brien, and 15 from Randwick Botany's Scarlett Pamela. I think the Pamela sisters might be backing up here, potentially, from the 800 we saw earlier before, but someone out the front there.
It's one of the Sydney Athletics Academy girls just trying to pick up
I think it might be Jean Stump.
hip number. Yep.
Yep.
I think that's right. Just wait for some hip numbers to come into view as they come around the start line. So it's
Ruby
3
Fry.
13, yep. So
Ruby Fry in 3 and just on
Kira Bauer, I think, from St George. Yep. Famous club, St George. Just celebrated their 100th year this year. Next year, actually, I think it might
Next
be. But
year.
yeah, it's
Looking
coming up. Yeah, I think we're 50 and they're 100.
Yeah.
So, Poppy O'Brien of Sydney Athletics Academy sitting there in 4th place, and they're just in front of young Matilda Richards of Sutherland as well.
Good to see the junior girls out here in force today, particularly from Randwick Botany and Sydney Athletics Academy dominating this field. And Jean Stump just being joined now by the Randwick Botany athlete, I believe, in Ruby Fry. So Stump from Fry, and then Bauer just a few strides behind in 3rd of St George. Then comes Poppy O'Brien and Matilda Richards as we pan out, just seeing in 5th, with the field quite strung out behind her. See a good shot of some pretty consistent gaps of about 25 to 30 metres back to the rest of the field. So the girls come into the home straight. They'll have 3 laps to go when they get to the start-finish line. So it's Stump and Fry, race of 2 at the moment from Bauer, and then Poppy O'Brien just making up the gap there to join her in that battle for 3rd as they come through. 2:35 through the first 2 laps, so going on about 77, 78 second pace at the moment. About 6:30 pace for the 2K. You see Bauer going along there, Poppy O'Brien with a Poppy stride, Matilda Ryan singing in 5th, coming around the bend. And just behind her at the moment in 11, that's now as Emily Mclaren. Also coming in a shot there is Nancy Newton of Randwick Botany, bouncing along there in some lovely yellow shoes. So Stump, a couple of strides away from Fry as they come down. This will be the 1 kilometre mark. So I mentioned they're on about 6:30 pace, and they've gone through in 3:15. So right on 6:30 pace at the moment.
So the gap at the front starting to open up a little bit. Good to see everyone watching at home. Alex Pettigrew cheering on the Central Performance track team boys. I think Petter's got engaged over the weekend. Congratulations, mate. Should be out here pacing a mile or a 1500 sometime soon, I hope.
Yep.
Just wanted to check this hip number. I thought it might have been a late entrant in 16. Just hoping that we're calling stump correctly here. No, it is 10.
It is 10,
yeah, it is 10.
Yep.
Sorry, I just thought I made a mistake there. So 80 seconds through the 800 metres to go mark. So it is indeed Jean Stump of the Sydney Athletics Academy. And she's opened up a reasonably sizable gap now on Ruby Fry of Randwick Botany Harriers, still sitting in third.
Just
a fall
yeah,
there.
Poppy O'Brien got up. Good to see.
Little limp, but yeah, looks okay.
Yep.
Just must have clipped the rail.
Yeah, the inside rails can get you, particularly on the multi-lap events. If you just sort of take your focus on a little way, good to see her back up and running. It's great stuff there by the young athlete. Emily Mclaren of Narrow Athletics just coming through, and still Nancy Newton of Randwick Botany going on well there. As we pan back to the front of the field, it's Jean Stump controlling this one now. She's really opened up a gap to second in Ruby Fry of Randwick Botany. As the wind, well, it's picking up now, isn't it? It's really blustering around, as you mentioned. Hopefully it dies down shortly. But Stump, the young athlete of the wonderfully talented junior squad from up north in Narrabeen, Sydney Athletics Academy, run by Jack McPhee, putting on a great show once again here at the Sydney Miles Club meet. She's got one lap to go, 5:16 through that lap, so she'll have to close in 74, so it's going to be a big last lap to try and hit that 6:30 mark. She'll have to push pretty hard from here. Yeah,
been running 80s the last couple of laps, so that would be a big ask, but see what she's got in the lead now, sitting at about probably 80 metres or so on Ruby Fry, and the order unchanged with Kira Bauer of the famous St George Athletics Club sitting in third. Some action going on at the velodrome by the looks of it. Lights are on.
Yep. Poppy O'Brien's done well to bounce back. She's probably in contention for that third place after going over on the inside rail. So great run there by one of the young juniors.
Doesn't look like it's going to be a 74, about 40 seconds through that 200. So just going to be outside 6:30 pace here by the looks of it, but certainly trying to close as quickly as we can is Stump. She'll come into the straight now.
So it's been a great run by Stump. Really controlled the race after that first K in 3:15. She comes towards the line. It's going to be just outside that 6:30 mark. Really nice form as she crosses the line. 6:32. So that's the 3:15 and 3:17 for Stump. Very good running there by one of the Sydney Athletics Academy juniors. Big gap back to Fry with Bauer just starting to close now. Has she got a bit of a kick in her? Fry hanging on. I think the gap's too big there. So Ruby Fry of Randwick Botany will wrap up that second spot. She comes across unofficially 6:55. Kira Bauer slipping under that 7-minute mark, 6:58. And a great recovery there by Poppy O'Brien of Sydney Athletics Academy, finishing in fourth. Great run there. Sydney Athletics Academy goes 1 and 4. She's got one of our Campbelltown athletes there. That's Cecilia Ruiz de Villa, just getting the bell lap. We've got young Emily Mclaren from Narrow Athletics, 7:18. She crosses the line. And also Daniela Cook, I think she'll come up and receive the bell. We've got young Nancy Newton of Randwick Botany now crossing the line. Good run by Nancy, 7:37. For another one of the Randwick Botany Harriers athletes. So good running there by the junior girls, as we've still got a few to come in the women's 2,000 metre B race.
So on screen now, that's Daniela Cook of the Blue Mountains.
So I think the black singlet that we don't usually associate with Blue Mountains is the Fit 3 Performance,
yes.
Part of Darren Purcell's squad, I believe. Darren runs a very tight ship up there in the lovely Blue Mountains. Some would say God's country. Some great trail running up there, that's for sure. 7. This is Raya Singh of Randwick Botany, 8:21 for Raya. It's a good run by her, 4:10s. Yep.
If you're watching along at home, good time to hit share on the live stream. Just about to start the A races here. Part of the Sydney Milers programming. All the A races back-ended to try and give you an entertaining hour or so of elite athletics, as this is one of our Campbelltown finishes. Celia Ruiz de Villa comes over the line about 8:53. So sub 4:30 pace for Celia.
And Danielle Cook of Fit 3 Performance in Blue Mountains just coming to the home straight. So she'll round out the field for the women's B race. And as you mentioned, Matt, some cracking A races ahead of us. They are some very good fields for a Thursday night Sydney Milers Club meet, that's for sure.
Advantage of having your phone at the desk. I just got a text from Petters. Coming back from injury, so he'll be back on the pacing duty soon. Hopefully some 800 running as well. Got plenty of his teammates out here tonight for the 800 A race as Daniela Cook comes over the line 9:35. So sub 5s for Daniela. Nice running there. Let us know how the squad's going, Petters. Want to know who your tip is in this men's 800 metre A race, and in fact we will turn our attention to that now. Might do some introductions here while they're on the line. It's the boys move on out there. Pretty handy field here. A lot of Ben Liddy's squad guys. You can see they've all got their squad singlets on, notwithstanding the various clubs they run for.
Advantage of a club meet, isn't it? No NSW uniform sanctioned, so you can whip out the neon green. It's good to see it.
It's good to mix it up every now and then. A squad singlet, club singlet. And hopefully we'll start seeing some more club singlets with squad representation on them in the not too distant future. But let's have a look. We're just about to get into the good part of the night here at the Sydney Milers Series, the third meet of the series. This is the men's 800 metre A race from the inside out. Lane 1, Anthony Vlatko of Randwick Botany Harriers. Benjamin Jagger goes in position 2 for the home club, Bankstown Sports new member this year. Ben Thompson of UTS and Luke Van Ratken, also of Norths, go in positions 3 and 4. Josh Bolch of Illawarra Blue Stars runs in position number 5. Taylor John of UTS and another one of the Central Performance Track Team athletes goes in 6 inside his teammate Lachlan Raper of Sydney University. Ben Quinn, number 8 for the University of New South Wales, and Robert Dickinson runs in position number 9 to round out the field in the men's 800 metre A race. So pretty cleanly away, plenty of speed in this race, and all these athletes know each other so well given they do so much training together. Lockie Raper, the World Junior representative, probably the quickest away on the outside, over on the inside. I think that, is that Ben Thompson?
Josh Bolch, I think.
Josh Bolch, yeah. In that, I think, slightly older CPT singlet will lead them up the back straight for the first time and go through the 200 metres very, very quickly, about 26 seconds or so. Then it's Raper sitting in behind them, and another one of the, I think that's Ben Quinn of the University of New South Wales sitting in third. Then that's Robert Dickinson, of Bankstown, sitting on the front of Taylor John. And I'm getting a decent look at them now. Ben Bishop in the trademark baseball cap, turned around backwards, goes as they string out and go through the bell lap in about 53 seconds. And it's Luke Van Ratken, I should say, of Norths, who's sitting on the front of the field from Lockie Raper in second. Little gap back to Ben Quinn, and then a little gap further back to Taylor John, who's starting to move now.
So Van Ratgen doing the work there, and he's actually doing a pacing job. So he stepped off the track. It's Raper, then Quinn, then John. A CBT 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Then comes the up coaching athlete in Ben Jagger with Rob Dickinson. They're the top 5. Jagger now just starting to make a move, try and get up to Taylor John. Taylor John now trying to get up to the top 2, but it's Raper from Quinn, then John. The gap's really closed up. Can Quinn start to move around the outside of Raper? Raper holding him off at the moment. John got Raper earlier on in Club Champs last week. Can he do it again? Here comes Raper, here comes Quinn, and they're 3 abreast now with John trying hard, but it's Quinn now just trying to make a move on Raper. Raper holding him off at the moment. It's going to be a photo finish as they come down to the line. It's going to be very close. I think Quinn's just got it. Quinn over Raper and John for a CBT 1, 2, 3. Dickinson in 4th, and I think it was Vlatko finishing quickly
Ben
for
Bishop
5th.
in there as well, and they're just on the front of Bolsh and Dickinson up in the early lead, didn't you? So I used to call him B-Race Ben Quinn. He's not B-Race Ben Quinn anymore. The Central Performance Track team going 1, 2, 3 in the men's 800 metres. The squad set it up nicely with Van Ratken doing the pacing duties from the middle of the track. But very good finish down there. Raper, of course, one of the best juniors in the country, but Ben Quinn managing to get over the top of him. And Taylor John looked like he might run around both of them coming into the straight, but just peaked on the run with about 50 to go. And you imagine that they will all be considerably better for the run in that men's 800 metre A race. As we look now to the women's event, and the ladies will start to line up behind us here. So, still early in the season, particularly early to be running fast in 800s like this, but pretty good race that.
Yeah, it was really good. I was actually looking forward to that one because it was a really good 1,500 metres. We saw a club chance with Taylor John and Lockie Raber, and actually John just got over the top of them with the 58-second last lap or something very fast at club champs at Sopak last week. So, good backup for both the boys there. But, Raper getting up over John just, but Quinn too good for them both.
So the girls are getting out on the track for the women's 800 metre A race as well, and we'll introduce these as they line up on the start line. So in hip number 1 from host club Bankstown, the Youth Olympics silver medalist, part of the Limitless Track team, Jayla Hancock Cameron. In position number 2, Lucy Alexander of Sutherland. Laura Story, now Laura Ruff, I think is a scratching, and not seeing her out there. Lily Winwood, also of the Limitless Track team and home club Bankstown, runs in position number 4. Nicola Hogg of Sydney Striders goes in hip number 5. Bailey Holland, another one of the Bankstown Limitless athletes, in position 6. Abby Rockcliffe, very talented junior of UTS Norths, in hip number 7. Ivy Boothroyd of Sutherland goes in 8, and Georgie Purcell of the Blue Mountains has made the trip down the M4 to compete and run out of hip number 9 to round out the field in the women's 800 metre A race. So Laura Roth, the scratching here, but that will change the dynamics of this race. Plenty of representation from that Limitless Track team out of the Southern Highlands, and it is indeed Jayla Hancock Cameron, one of the leaders of that squad. The Youth Olympic silver medalist going to the front of the field over in lane number 1. As you can see on your screen there, and the rest of the field pretty well bunched together. Georgie Purcell on the far outside, and Sutherland's Lucy Alexander is moving up in the centre of the track. Purcell comes across to get on the shoulder of Hancock Cameron, and then it's another one of the Bankstown athletes in Lily Winwood, and Bailey Holland sitting in behind them as they swing around into the straight for the first time. And Hancock Cameron ran the Albie Thomas Mile A race last year and is looking to run again at that level in 2020. Has a look at the watch, and we'll see about 48 seconds through the first 300. Then Purcell sitting in behind her. Then it's Sutherland's Lucy Alexander in behind them, and then the Bankstown pair of Winwood and Bailey Holland as they get through the bell in 62 seconds for Jayla, who has another look at the watch.
So a race of 1 for position number 1 at the moment. Jayla Hancock Cameron, Purcell just starting to fade a little bit, and it's actually Ivy Boothroyd from Sutherland sitting in 3rd at the moment, from Winwood in 4th. Hancock Cameron, what time can she run? She'll probably be looking for about 2:06, 2:07 I think at the moment. She strides down the back straight. Form has not changed from the first stride she took in this one, as she looks magnificent. Coming down to the 600 metre mark with Purcell maybe just making up the gap a little bit. Boothroyd just a few strides behind her with 4th and 5th. They're really strung out equally at the moment. It's a beautiful shot we've got in our monitors here, but Jayla Hancock Cameron through the 600 about 1:38 it was, so she'll be looking just under that 2:10 mark at the moment. She comes down to the home straight. Purcell still battling on. Here comes Boothroyd for Sutherland as she mounts a challenge for 2nd, with Winwood behind her. But Jayla Hancock Cameron, she's starting to tire a little bit, but staying strong as she comes down to the line, 2:05 at the moment. Boothroyd now moves into 2nd with a great last 150 as she comes across the line. Hancock Cameron 2:09, Boothroyd 2:11, and Purcell in about 2:11 high as well unofficially. Winwood comes across 2:16 with Lucy Alexander and Bailey Holland rounding out the field in an exciting women's B race. Women's A race that was. Absolutely the women's A race.
So Jayla Hancock.
Couple of bad calls from both of us there.
Yeah, no, my apologies to Ivy Boothroyd. I had Alexander in second for the majority of the first lap. But no, excellent running from Jayla Hancock Cameron, the Youth Olympic silver medalist, just starting to build nicely into the season. Had a couple of injury troubles over the winter months. Obviously, probably not the worst time in the world to have those, if you're going to have them, given the lack of racing during COVID, as we see on the monitors. Some of the men's 2,000 metre A race athletes beginning to warm up, but Jayla Hancock Cameron, part of that limitless track team running out of the Southern Highlands of Sydney, of New South Wales, I should say. They've made the trip up here, stay a couple of nights in Sydney, and great to have that squad as part of these events and also as part of the Bankstown club. So they'll build very nicely into this season, I would imagine. And I think just going through that start list, they had 3 or 4 from the squad going around the women's 800 metre A race. So very talented group of up-and-coming youngsters. As we're seeing the athletes warm up in this men's 2,000 metre A race. Pretty handy field, this.
Yeah, very handy field, actually. We'll pick out some of the big names in this one. Stefan Music lines up for Randwick Botany. He's been in, I think, a couple of A races for the Albie Thomas Mile Championship now. So a very good runner, 1,500 metre specialist is Stefan. So this should really suit him, this distance. We've also got one of the really good up and coming juniors in Max Martin representing UTS Norths today. Theo Christian from Trinity Athletics, again another very good under 18 athlete. We've got Drew Fryer. Randwick Botany. Drew had great New South Wales 10K. I think he ran 30:39 to finish mid-pack in that wonderful men's championship race a few weeks back here at the Crest. And also Jared West for Run Crew with Matthew Hudson. Interesting to see how West goes, the 800 metre specialist. I think he was a 146 guy back in the day. So just stringing out for 2K here. Be interesting to see how this race pans out.
Well, the 3,000 metre championships next week are going to be very hot. Don't send us a text or an email during the week complaining about being in a B race. Run fast tonight and put yourself in the A race next week. The official lead up to the 3K champs about to get underway with the men's 2,000 metre A race at the Sydney Miler Series. So with them underway, we'll go through the field in full. Tom Davies, hip number 1 for Sydney University. Brendan Fink, Delta into a Run Crew trio of Martin Mashford, Matt Hudson, Jabba, and Jared West in 3, 4 and 5. Stefan Music, one of the very talented youngsters from Randwick Botany in hip number 6. Max Marn of UTS Norths in hip number 8. Lockie Oakes of Delta runs inside. Julio Ruiz de Villa of Campbelltown. Lockie Bryan of Run Crew in 11. James Seal, Kembla Joggers in hip number 12. Theo Christian of Trinity in hip number 13 inside, as you mentioned, the New South Wales Junior Cross Country champion in Drew Fryer. Stefan Dean Smith of Kembla Joggers, and Jack Maxwell of Delta rounds out the field of 16 in the men's 2,000 metre A race.
So Music doing the early leading here. Probably no surprises at the moment. You'd probably pick him as one of the standout athletes in this one, but just seeing behind him, we can see the white singlet of James Seal of Kembla Joggers, and also that's one in Tom Davies of Sydney Uni, just going the CPT neon green singlet. As they come through the first lap, that's a 66, so good pace here set by Music early. So it is Music from Davies, then comes Seal, Singing fourth, Max Marn, Drew Fryer in 5th, and they're in a lead group of 8 as the moment. As you can see, a couple of the Delta guys in Fink and Oakes coming through with Julio Ruiz de Villa rounding out the field. We just pick out the other athletes there. Theo Christian just sitting on the back. I think that's Lockie Bryant, and is that one of the Run Crew athletes in there? I actually can't see Jabber in there at the moment, Matt.
Yeah, he should be there unless he hasn't started the race. Oh, I think that's him in 5th, isn't it? Just coming around the shoulder of Seal.
These
that
two,
looks like
yes.
Jabber.
Yep.
So there he is. You'd expect him to be right at the front of this field. Probably more of a 5,000 metre specialist, and this might be a little bit short for him, but it's the quite tall figure of Music, isn't he? Him and Drew Fry have quite a similar build, quite tall, which they use to their advantage. Jabba Hudson has won New South Wales 5,000 metre championships over the years, so be strong at the back end. We'll see if he's got the turn of foot to go with some of these guys. And this is a good thing about the 2,000 metre distance, is that you've got athletes, 1,500 metre specialists that can run up, and also 5,000 specialists that can run down. 65 for the second lap on the back of a 66, so it's Music from Jabba Hudson, and then Seal sitting in third as they run around for up to the 1,000-metre mark. And we'll have a look at the 1K split as they go up the back straight. Expect these boys to go well under 6 minutes, and they're going to be on track for that as they head around to the 1K mark in about 2:43.
So 5:26 pace here. Very good running by the boys at the moment. It's Music, excuse me, from Hudson. Then one of the juniors in James Seal, then Fryer. Then comes Tom Davies and Max Martin, his outside with Lockie Bryant and Theo Christian. There's the top 8 at the moment with 1,100 run and 900 to go. Music has led from the gun and done a lot of early work, with Hudson getting a beautiful little sit on his outside. And James Seal just one back from them at the moment. They're really bunching up, but they're not slowing down that much. They've gone 66, 65 and 64. So this one's just starting to wind up. Christian just starting to just find themselves a couple of strides off the pace, as the lead group of 8 looks like they are now a lead group of 7.
So a change at the front there. Jabba Hudson went around the shoulder of Stefan Music, who's done the vast majority of the leading work of this race. Hudson, of course, former New South Wales 5,000-metre champion, should be strong at the back end. You wouldn't be surprised if he wants to wind it up and make it as much of a staying test as it can possibly be over 2,000 metres. Drew Fryer has moved himself up really nicely, and I think he's done it along the rail, going the shortest way around, got up on the inside of James Seal, and then just sitting in front of Bryant, Marn and Davies of Sydney University and Central Performance Track Team. Rounds out this leading group of about 7 or so. James Seal just moving to the outside, and the move's starting to come now as they will come up and get the bell. Seal to the front, then Music, then Fryer, the New South Wales Junior Cross Country champion. 64 seconds again. Hudson slipping back. Seal from Kembla goes to the front of the field. And then it's Drew Fryer of Randwick Botany Harriers, his teammate Music trying to get around Hudson. Music doing so much of the early work. Then Bryant of Run Crew sitting in behind them. Davies sitting on the back of the lead group now. Max Marn has fallen off. So Seal up the back straight for the last time, sitting on the front of Fryer. Hudson's not done. He's coming back, gets around the shoulder of Fryer. Music not done either, getting around the shoulder of the both of them. Did all of the early work, and can he come back and pick up the win? They come around with 200 metres to run. Don't count out Tom Davies of Sydney University either from Central Performance Track Team. 150 to run. James Seal, the youngster from Kembla, off the front of the pack by about 10 metres or so, but plenty of them lining up to have a crack in the straight. Fryer out wide of Music. Davies getting the rail run. Jabba Hudson, the distance man, goes all the way on the outside. Gets cut off by Brian, who shifts out from Run Crew. Has Seal done enough early on to get the job done? He certainly has. Drew Fryer gets in second. Bryant ran a really smart race and got up for third, just on the inside of Music. And in the excitement, I've just missed the winning time.
I think it was about 5:20. I reckon they've closed in about 60 or 59 or something. It was a very quick last lap.
But
Very
James Seal got off the front of them, a bit like the Melbourne Cup this year, actually. Got off the front with about 300 to run. And if they thought they were going to get him in the straight, they left it too little too late. So he will go into the 3K champs in the best of form. Some good finishes coming down now. A couple of the Delta athletes.
Yeah, Jack Maxwell just across there, 5:42. That's a good run by him. That's Brendan Fink, 5:54, and Lockie Oakes, 5:56, finishing strongly there. And we've just got Julio Ruiz de Villa, who will round out the field in 6:08.
So what do we take out of that, Jimmy, going into the 3K champs next week? There's going to be some big gun names, which I think it's fair to say, will probably have that field covered as far as winning the New South Wales title goes. That's one of the strongest races in New South Wales, indeed Australia. I suspect that'll be the strongest 3K race in Australia this year, next week at Sydney Olympic Park Athletics Centre. But I suspect we're going to get a replay of that in probably the mid-pack and sitting around that sort of 8th, 9th, 10th positions. And, there was a blanket finish there. 5 or 6 of them could have won that with 400 to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Seal made the move at just the right time. I thought Matt Hudson-Jabba ran a really smart race. Let Music do a lot of the work early on. Just started to come around the shoulder with about 500 or 600 to go. You could see the maturity in the race, but just not the legs to keep up with the youngsters.
Brilliant racing. I thought Music did a lot of the work early and still came back at them late, a bit reminiscent of the 800 earlier tonight. And we know Drew Fryer's in really hot form from the cross-country racing down at Dapto. So really looking forward to that battle next week. But you look at some of the names that come in, the real big boys. You're going to have the Jai Edwards, the Josh Johnsons from out of the Team Telford squad down in Canberra. They're coming up. Some of the South Australian boys are coming over, and then you throw in the really top half a dozen middle distance athletes. I assume Benny Saint, those guys are going to have a roll around. I'm not sure if you've seen more of the entry list than I have, but that looks like it's going to be a really cracking race. And as we said, the best 3K in Australia this year. And with Zatopek being postponed, that'll be the best 10K and 3K of this year in New South Wales.
Yeah, so arguably, I think the women's 10K you'll find South Australia was very, very good. But absolutely, but probably the best 3K. So we'll move on to the women's A race now. This should be another exciting race. 14 stars in this one.
And we'll introduce them once they get underway. So this now, the women's 2,000 metre A race. So from the inside out, Alexia Kamakovas of Illawong Revesby runs in hip number 1. Kate Spencer, one of the most well-decorated junior athletes in the history of the country, goes in 2 for UTS North. Imogen Stewart, speaking of talented juniors, goes inside mum, Belinda Martin of Illawong Revesby. Audrey Hall of Sydney University in 5. Natasha Ward of Randwick Botany Harriers. Again, speaking of talented juniors, Abby Rockcliffe of UTS North in hip number 7. And they just keep coming. Lauren Carey, the World Cross Country representative for St George, runs in hip number 8. Laura Hawthorne of Sydney Athletics Academy runs inside her teammate, Mia Gulagaran. Nicola Hogg of Sydney Stride. I've seen a couple of these names already tonight in hip number 11. Rebecca Solomon, another of the Sydney Athletics Academy athletes inside. Shani Hargraves of host club Bankstown and Limitless Track Team. And Eleanor Miller rounds out the field for Randwick Botany Harriers as we have a look at the front of the field now. And that is indeed Imogen Stewart just sitting in front of mum. Belinda Martin and Kate Spencer comes around the shoulder to take up second position in the running. A little bit further back to Alexia Kalamakovas as they go through the first 400 metres in about 71. So, geez, really getting on with it is Imogen Stewart. Kate Spencer trying not to let her get too far off the front, as is Belinda Martin getting up into third, and they've really put a bit of a gap on this chase pack.
Yeah, Imogen Stewart, she's had a really good probably a few weeks of racing. She was fabulous in the New South Wales Cross Country Championships. I think she was splitting something like 3:15s for 4K over cross country. So in great form at the moment, Imogen. But Kate Spencer has really closed that gap. Kate had a really good run at the New South Wales Club Championships for the UTS North Open women's team last weekend. Ran 4:23 and got over the top of her teammate in Georgia Wingcup, and also the comeback trail of Holly Campbell. That was her second race back, and Holly ran really well there. But Kate Spencer, showing some really good form early on in the season. So this looks like a race of two at the moment. Imogen Stewart and Kate Spencer, with Belinda Martin about 15-20 metres back to her in third, and she finds herself in no woman's land at the moment, with the chase pack another 20 metres behind her. 72nd lap, so they're winding it up at the moment.
Well, I think they were probably 71. It might just been me on the stopwatch that was the problem there, but they're running pretty even at the front. This first K is going to be pretty quick, and it's not going to be a race like the men's event. There's two pretty clear leaders out the front. We're getting a nice shot now of the chase pack. So that's Eleanor Miller sitting on the front of Abby Rockcliffe, and then it was another one of the Randwick girls. I think that was Natasha Ward sitting there in behind. Now the Sydney Athletics Academy guys of Mia Gulagran and Audrey Hall in behind them. But they're going down to the 1,000 metre mark now and run through in about 2:58, I think, for the first K. So really getting on with it. Stewart and Spencer out the front. Stewart, of course, one of the best juniors in Australia at the moment. Kate Spencer was once upon a time arguably the most decorated junior athlete in the history of New South Wales middle distance running. Some fantastic performances on the international stage as a youngster. Now well into her open career, but Stewart and Spencer coming down with 800 metres to run, and they go through in 3:35, and that was about a 72, I think. And Belinda Martin, speaking of talented youngsters, Belinda Martin, one of the best masters athletes in the country, sitting third in this race, probably about 15 metres or so off the back of them. Little gap now back to Abby Rockcliffe, who's put herself up into 4th and actually just leaving the rail open there for Eleanor Miller of Randwick Botany Harriers. But they go up the back and they've got about 600 metres to run. Spencer really sticking to Stewart, not letting her get away, and in fact now going up to the shoulder with 600 to go. And as you mentioned, Jimmy, in a really good race last week with the returning Holly Campbell and Georgia Wincup as part of the Club Championships event at the Sopak warm-up track, which is where we'll be next week for the 3K champs.
Yeah, absolutely. So stand by for another Imogen Stewart kick. You can sort of feel it coming, can't you, as they come down. This will be the second to last time they run down this home straight, and they'll receive the bell as they come down there. Probably just gone through in about another 72 there. So here goes Imogen Stewart, and there goes Kate Spencer. Can Kate Spencer hold with Imogen Stewart? That'll be the key over the next half lap. Imogen Stewart, probably not a devastating kick, as some may have thought. Belinda Martin going well there, still in 3rd, well ahead of the chase back of Rockcliffe and Miller in 4th and 5th. But it's been a different tactic here by Imogen Stewart. Potentially, I remember the kick for the last miles meet we had here didn't quite pay off. So maybe she's just going to leave it to the last 200 this time. But she want to be careful because Kate Spencer ran a very quick last lap last week as well as they come down to the 200. Now here goes Stewart. She starts her kick now. Can Spencer hold on to her? It's just holding at the moment. Now there might be about half or a full stride in it as Stewart just starts to open at the gap. Can Spencer muster a second effort as they come into the home straight? 5:41 on the clock. It's going to be very close to 6 minutes here as well. Imogen Stewart of the Illong Reevesby Workers Club. She's probably got this one wrapped up now. Kate Spencer fighting on hard, but it's going to be too late as they come down. 5:54 for Imogen Stewart and 5:56 for Kate Spencer. Go 1 and 2. Belinda Martin, another sensational run. Still absolutely at the top of her game. Runs a 6:05 for 2K. Abby Rockcliffe put a big gap on Miller there in the late stages. She comes across for 4th in 6:14. And it will be Miller who rounds up the top 5. She will come down to the line and come across in 6:25. So different tactic there by Stewart, but absolutely paid off. She left it to the last 200 that time. We've got the number 8 there. That's Lauren. Oh, that's Lauren Carey. Sorry, of St George. Lauren Carey comes across in 6:06.
Shani Hargraves in behind her.
Yep.
One of the Sydney Athletics Academy youngsters, Mia Gulligren.
Good run by her. 6:44.
Just looking for... Can't make out that number, I'm afraid. It's one of the Randwick girls, I think.
Natasha Ward, I think, of Randwick Botany, and Lara Hathorn from Sydney Athletics behind her. Audrey Hall just coming across there to round out the field in under 7 minutes too. Yeah, I was just mentioning that. So, yeah, usually we see that devastating kick of Imogen Stewart earlier in the piece, right around the bell lap. Just left it to the last 200 there. And she states her claim as to what form she's in, beating one of the better runners going around over the 1500 and 3K distance in Kate Spencer there.
So just for those in the stadium, if you're in the men's 5,000 metre A race, you had want to be having your hip numbers on and over at the start. For those in the stadium as well, there's a canteen and barbecue running up in the back of the grandstand. So our viewers at home won't be overly interested in that, but for those here, come up and get something to eat. Okay, the main event of the evening is the men's 5,000 metre A race. We were blessed with just a sensational 10,000 metre race here about a month ago for the New South Wales 10,000 metre championships. There's a few big names here for the 5K, but unsurprisingly a lot of the big guns waiting for next week to go around in the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships. But some of the favourites in that race do line up here tonight, probably led by Kieran Tall.
Yeah, Tall was magnificent, running second in that New South Wales 10K championship, just behind Ed Goddard in a fabulous three-way battle with Benny St. Lawrence as well, all finishing within about 3 or 4 seconds of each other. So Tall in really good form. Wasn't great over winter, but really came back with that 10K, moving down to the 5K. This is probably his distance. He is the reigning New South Wales 5,000 metre champion as well. We can't forget that. So, yeah, he'll definitely be the one to beat, I think, tonight in this race.
Some other good names lining up. So Tom DeCanto, of course, another one of the run crew athletes. Matty Cox could certainly compete at this level when he's running at his best for the host club, Bankstown. Kurt Fryer of Randwick. Nathan Breen has joined us on commentary before. Many athletes will know his voice from the live announcing at Homebush and at other New South Wales meets. He'll run for St George, and Dan Kelly has been running well for Run Crew this year as well. But Kieran Tall, of course, behind Ed Goddard as new members of the Sub-29 club, 28.45 and 28.47 if memory serves, at the New South Wales 10,000 metre championships. I'll just have a look over my shoulder if you'll bear with me, and the boys look like they're still a few minutes away here, mate, so you probably can't go past Kieran Tall, as we're just being shown, I don't know what, but hard to go past Kieran Tall here in the as favourite in this field. Let's have a little reflection on the night so far. So Jayla Hancock Cameron getting the win in the ladies 800 metre race, front running performance, really strong in that. Ben Quinn held off a Central Performance Track trio in the men's 800 metre race in Melbourne Cup style, got off the front with about 300 run, and if they thought they were going to get him down in the straight, they fell just short. Some two pretty good 800 metre races, the boys in particular, great race.
It was always going to be a good race, wasn't it? When you saw the start list, all the training partners together, a little bit of banter, of course, before and after the race. So it's good to see. And again, these milers meets, it's great to see that calibre of athlete, come out and support the meets. So well done to Liddy's Central Performance Track squad, and another very entertaining 800.
The one who was missing, I hope he's watching at home, but the 146 fridge, as I affectionately call him, Mason Cohen, wasn't quite ready tonight, as I understand it. But I'm really looking forward to calling one of Meso's races this season as he comes back into the domestic competition, and assuming we get a Nationals, which is looking like we very much will, in the first quarter of next year, he'll be one of the lead contenders in the men's 800 metres, which is just shaping up to be one of the best events in Australia at the moment, with Boland Deng leading the way, of course, out of Justin Rinaldi's squad in Victoria, but a host of juniors, and now really going into the open divisions, lining up behind them, ready to gun down the leading two. What else have we had tonight? These 2,000 metre A races. The men's clearly the pick of the races. Imogen Stewart was great out the front, but that men's race was sensational in terms of the 6-7 way battle. Probably 5 that could have won it with about 200 or 300 metres to run. So it's pretty good racing for what are we still in, just the start of November. So the season's starting to gear up. Next week's going to be a cracker, but we're not too far away from the main event of the evening, the men's 5,000 metre A race at the third meet of the Sydney Milers series. Just have a look over my shoulder, and it looks like they are just getting heckled from the bleachers here.
I don't understand, we're media people now, aren't we?
I don't know if you could call us that, but speaking of, just getting messages from God knows who. Hopefully that's Mason. It is indeed Mason Cohen. I'll be there next weekend, mate. Yes, excellent. The fridge is back.
Well, it's the Sydney Uni Interclub 800 before, so we very much look forward to seeing the fridge back on the track.
I reckon 3K would be too far for him. I can't even get him to run the Albert Thomas, so I suspect he'll be going around in that 800 in a club. You might have to, I'll be up in the Hunter Valley, but you might have to get the iPhone out and give me a live stream of the fridge going around. I'm looking forward to calling him the 800, of course, one of the landmark events of the Albie Thomas meet, and we'll be looking forward to that as well. People keep telling me things and don't realise I've got headphones on and can't hear them.
Yeah. Just quickly, again, a reminder for those in the stadium and, of course, those following on at home, the live results for this meet are in the description of the Athletics New South Wales live stream post, and also on distance running in New South Wales. So that is where you can find the live results in the stream description on the Facebook post, for those who are wondering. Not far away now, we can see some of the boys lining up. I can see the red and white stripes of Ben Toomey, I think, there. A few of these guys on the start list, and again, for those who are following the start list, they did just run the 2,000 metres. So just going down the list, I know Brendan Fink just ran the 2K. Matt Hudson, of course, just ran the 2K. And just going down, I think there might be the only two. So it should be 21 starters. Lockie Oakes as well ran in the 2K. So probably 20 or so starters in this men's 5K race.
So for those asking about Zatopek, I have just seen that pop up in the comments. I wasn't sure whether it had actually been announced yet, but evidently it has. So Zatopek will be on Australia Day down in the, well, they would certainly argue the distance running capital of Australia in Victoria.
You wouldn't agree with that, would you?
Well, I think my role would prevent me from agreeing with that, but looking forward to, that could be a really special day, Australia Day, Zatopek.
Absolutely.
But they are on the line here at the Crest for the time being in the men's 5,000 metre A race for the third meet of the Sydney Milers Series. 6 of these meets before Christmas, and get out amongst the New South Wales 3K champs next week. If you haven't entered already, I'm sitting next to the man who is going to refuse your late entry if you miss the cut. So don't ring us during the week once entry's closed. Get on now and enter.
Good to see you've sorted out good cop, bad cop here.
Don't worry, mate. I'll get them too. So here we go. The main event of the evening, third meet of the Sydney Mile Series, the men's 5K. Off they go. So we'll go through the whole field from the inside out. Lachlan Oakes of Delta, Ben Toomey of St George, Miles Goff, who you've been chatting to recently, Jimmy, of Kembla Joggers, Harm Sharp of Bankstown and Limitless Track Team, Jake Shaw of Run Crew, Brendan Fink of Delta, Kieran Tall, one of the pre-race favourites for Run Crew. He's inside his teammate Jack Green, Hamish Wallace of Bankstown, Tom DeCanto and Sam Shield, both of Run Crew, Matt Cox of Home Club, Bankstown inside, Jabba Hudson. I'm not sure if he's lining up here again. Just doing some of the pacing potentially, but it's Torley sitting on the front as they go through the first 233. Kurt Fryer of Randwick Botany Harriers, Greg Frost of Kembla, Tom Middleton of Run Crew, Nathan Breen of St George, Liam Hinchcliffe of Bankstown Sports, James Tunbridge of Run Crew, Jones Samuel of Illawarra Blue Stars, Sam Hopper of Run Crew, Dane Otson and Dan Kelly round out the field, and it looks like they are very much off the front here with Kieran Tall, and I think that's Tom DeCanto in behind him. Is it Jimmy of Run Crew?
Yes, it is.
So they go through the 600 and about, so the 400 I should say, and about 67 for the first lap. So clearly Tall and Tom here to run a time and not too worried about a tactical race with this field. Just trying to pick up who's sitting in third there. It's one of the Run Crew boys, but I'm just looking for a hip number as they come into the straight for the second time. And this field very much strung out already. So Tall and DeCanto on the front.
It's Dan Kelly.
Dan Kelly, yep.
Third. Yep,
Dan Kelly,
the beautiful flowing mullet, of course, taking inspiration from Ed Goddard in the 10K a few weeks back.
Then Jake Shaw and James Tunbridge.
Yep. Nathan Breen just sitting up there, and I think there might have been
in behind them. No, actually,
Hamish Wallace. Potentially?
Yeah, it is Hamish Wallace. I can recognise the tattoos from here. And then, Coxie in from in behind them.
And see Miles Goff, obviously, in the fluoro orange hat as well. You can always pick him out. Miles Goff of Kembla Joggers and Run Creature doing a fabulous job with the publication lately. We might talk about that a little bit later. But, yeah, race of 2 here. So 67s is 13.55 or 58 pace, I believe. So the boys are on sub-14 pace. Interestingly enough, there was a 5K time trial in South Australia, which actually gave us a bit of a form guide for next weekend. Adrian Potter going sub-14 there in a very exciting time trial. I think there was about 100 people socially distanced at the track who might have watched that one as well. So well done to Team Tempo and Adam Dick and also Athletics South Australia for putting on a good meet there and getting the boys sharpened up for our New South Wales 3K champs. Coming through the first K here, 2:49 they've gone through for the first K. So I think, right on that sub-14 pace. 2:49.
Yeah, just, what's that?
14:05 pace. And so right around that 14-minute mark.
It's a lovely pack, which is just not the lead pack. There's about probably a dozen of them sitting in there. Really nice shot there as they go up the back straight. So there's a leading group of 2, another group of 3, and then this huge pack sitting in behind them. One of the Kembla boys with the bright orange
Miles Goff
baseball cap. Yeah.
You would think that might be a sub-15 pack. I just get the feeling that a lot of these guys are trying to shoot for that sub-15. I know Miles definitely is trying to go for that mark. a lot of these guys also ran sort of around that 31.5 mark at the New South Wales 10K champs. So that's usually going to convert to something around about that 15-minute mark, as we see DeCanto and Torley just sharing the lead here, doing a good job. 68-second lap there. So just slipping over that 14-minute mark, but boys going well. And again, slightly gusty conditions here. The wind hasn't dropped that much, so they are going well at the moment. They will have to work for quite a long time. Here comes Jake Shaw and Nathan Breen. So they're sitting in third and fourth at the moment. Breeny looking to have a good run here tonight. Of course, the triathlete who loves to have a run on the track with this big pack of about a dozen athletes behind them.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that you're right about the sub-15 pacing group, because it's Matt Hudson sitting on the front of that pack, who we obviously just saw go around in the men's 2KA race, and he was certainly racing that. So I feel like Jabba might just be doing a job on the front here for this sub-15 pack, which includes a lot of his run crew teammates. Miles Goff sitting in there along with
James
Hamish,
Tunbridge.
Yeah, James Tunbridge, and then Hamish Wallace. Coxie in there as well. Coxie, of course, a sub-220 marathoner.
Sam Hopper, we can see with the man bun behind them in the black of run crew. Just trying to pick out the last couple behind them as well. I think it might be Harm Shap featuring in there as well. It would be a great run if he gets around the low 15s for Harm. But panning back to Tommy DeCanto and Kieran Tall there. They'll be coming up to the 2K mark shortly, with Shaw and Breen about 50 to 60 metres behind them. And then we pan back to that pack. It's just dwindling a little bit now, with Hudson now pacing a group of about 7 athletes. And we've got Dan Kelly just fading a little bit there. It's a little bit surprising. I thought Dan might be a little bit further up at this point in time. Also, one of the other Kembla athletes just coming into view there. Just missed the last couple, unfortunately. We'll call him as we see him next time.
I think that might have been Dane Ottenson with the tattoos, because I saw him in the 10K, I think.
Yeah, one of Brady's Run to PB athletes, yes. Great to see Dane back, actually. I think he really enjoyed his 10K experience.
Wonder if Brady's watching at home. Hopefully hear all about it on the Inside Running podcast. Now, they went through 2K, which I'm sorry to say I missed, but looks like this lead pack is reminiscent of the 10K champs, where they decided to work together out front, and that's clearly happening here with Torley and DeCanto. We'll see how long that lasts as we go back to Shaw and Breen running together in third and fourth. And then here comes what we think is the sub-15 bus, with Hudson sitting on the front, Hamish Wallace putting himself up in behind there now, then Goff, and then Coxie. So they're leading that group there. Then Tunbridge, I think that is.
I think Tom Middleton from Run Crew is the other athlete, as it may now just start to be a pack of 5. So that's going to be Sam Hopper leading that sort of small pack of 2. They're going to have to work hard to stay with those guys. So as we pan back to the front 2. So a few races going on in this one. It's good to see everyone's got their own personal goals that they want to achieve. And a really good hit out 9 days out from the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships. We'll see a lot of these athletes in these grade and also championship races next weekend.
DeCanto just put a metre or so on tour.
Yeah, I think he's just breaking.
Yeah, he's had a look over his shoulder, hasn't he? Yeah, so a little bit of a hurry along, I suspect, for Torley. I mean, you wouldn't forget, obviously, big drop in distance here. Torley 10,000 metres back down to 5. Can take a bit of time to get the zip back in the legs, and you'll want to make sure that happens before the 3K champs next week. I assume he's going to have a run around in that. Hudson doing a beautiful job here on the front for that sub-15 bus. In fact, we'll get a split on them the next time around as they come through 3K and see if they're on track on the 9-minute mark, and it looks like they probably are. So just getting into shot now, young Sam Shield of Randwick Botany, then Ben Toomey sitting in there with Greg Frost of Kembla. The boys going up the back straight now. That's Hudson driving sub-15 bus. Have a look over our shoulder and have a look at Tom DeCanto coming through the 3K mark, who's now a clear leader in 8:34 and went through that lap in a 68. So
yeah, he's moving
moving along. Now let's have a look, if we can, back up the main straight and have a look at this, what we think is a sub 15-minute bus coming into the 3 kilometre mark. And they're going to be right bang on this. So Hudson doing the job, having a look over the shoulder now. And there he goes, waves them through. Off you go, boys. I got you to 3K, 8:58. Well done, Jabba Hudson. And we're going to see who can hang on for the last 5 laps here and keep the sub 5-minute bus going. So Hamish Wallace sitting on the front of Miles Goff, then Coxie, and then a couple of the run crew boys. And these guys will be just outside the 15-minute pace at the moment. That's Hopper.
Liam Hinchcliffe as well, one of the juniors, having a great run here. He's going to be probably around that low to mid-15s. But, yeah, Tom DeCanto just putting the foot down now. I wonder if Torley has, maybe some after effects of the New South Wales 10K, potentially. As DeCanto looking beautiful at the moment,
certainly be entitled to, wouldn't he, after that 28:47 in an absolute gunfight with Ed Goddard.
67.
67, yeah. Geez, they're moving along, aren't they? I'm just going to see if I can find Tom's PB for the 5K. He did get a bit of help from Torley early on.
We also had Jake Shaw, I think, pull out after 3K there as well. So he was sitting with Nathan Breen in that battle for third. So I think Breen might be sitting... we just got a quick shot of Breeny there. So he's sitting outright third at the moment. Tom DeCanto just absolutely motoring along. 1,400 to go now as we look up his PB.
14:51 it looks like his PB, which is going to be in a bit of jeopardy here, you would think. So Sydney, 2006, that can't possibly be right, can it? I'll have a look at our entry system.
I think he's on tempos quicker than that.
See what we've got. So, but this sub 15 bus looks like it's ticking along reasonably nicely. Let's get a shot of Tom coming down now. So this will be, I'm just trying to check the clock. That'll be what, a mile to, 1,200 to run.
1,200 run. Paying back up to the sub 15, what was a bus is now 2 out in front, as we see Sam Jones and Dane Otson went 1-2 in the community 10K a few weeks ago, working well once again together. We see Breeny there in third. And here's Hamish Wallace and Miles Goff with Coxie, Tom Middleton and James Tunbridge just 5 or 6 metres back from them. So this is the race for sub 15. And they'll be coming up to the 4K mark shortly. They may have just slipped off just a touch. We'll get a good indication of that as they come to the end of the back straight. So 150 to go to get that 4K split. So we look back. So that's Sam Hopper and Liam Hinchcliffe. So they're around about the 15:30 mark, the run crew on the Bankstown Athletes. And we go back to that Sam Shield. So Shield just sitting behind Hinchcliffe and Hopper. And here comes DeCanto, still looking absolutely magnificent as he goes around 67.
14:12 estimate is the PB mark from September of this year. So clearly in good form, Tom.
Good sleuthing there, mate.
Yeah, 14:50 I don't think was realistic. But nice shot there of DeCanto just working up the back straight. You can see just there the pace differential between some of these athletes as he now comes around. Now that'll be...
That's 600 to go.
Yeah, it's 600 to go, isn't it? Yeah, so about 12:30 through there. So he's really getting on with it here. Matt Cox, and so this, we just, got a shot there. There's Tor.
Oh, so this is interesting. This is Breen for second at the moment, and he's gone straight past Tor.
Yeah, so I wonder just whether Torley might have been doing a job helping out Tom, because he's certainly not that far behind him on form. Now this sub 15 bus, we're just having a look at as DeCanto gets the bell in about 13:02 or so. So he's actually on for a PB here if he can close quickly. 14:12 is his PB. He's got to get a move on, but he is in shape to run one here. And that sub 15 bus looks like probably just the 2 front runners of Hamish Wallace and Miles Goff look like they're sitting nicely on his
Tom
DeCanto.
Absolutely ripping down the back straight at the moment. We've just got some of the other athletes coming through here. We might try and get a shot of Tom as he's coming up with 200 to go. Goes through 13:35. So he needs to close in about 34 seconds, and you bets odds on he's probably going to do that to get another 14:10 mark.
So 14:12 unofficial up here. He's going to have to. Yeah, he's going to run a PB here. He certainly should, as long as our watch is something resembling right. Tom DeCando, helped out by Kieran Tall early in the run, but he's going to come down and I suspect touch up his personal best of 14:12. Comes over the line, closes in about 65 or so to run about 14:08 unofficial. Kieran Tall was having I'm not sure if it was a battle with Nathan Breen, but was sitting back in second position after having done some of the early work with Tawley. And here is Nathan Breen coming. Oh, no.
It's Toomey.
No, that's Toomey. Sorry, we'll get Breen into shot in a moment here. No, Kieran Tall has responded.
He has responded.
So we might go back to the straight, and that's just in the back of shot there. Yeah, there's Kieran Tall who's responded and is going to come over the line and run second, and he'll be just under the 15-minute mark, so about 14:50 now. Let's have a look for our pace bus as Nathan Breen gets under the 14:50 mark. Geez, they're closing hard, and I think that's Matt Cox. Oh, yeah, just under, I think, 14:58. And
here comes the boys. Desperately close, 15:01, 15:02 for the boys. So that's great running. They've paced that really well.
So that was Goff in there with Hamish Wallace and one of the run
James Tunbridge.
Boys,
that's Tom Milton, 15:11 for Tom there. Good run by the boys. Here comes Liam Hinchcliffe. This is a great run by one of the juniors at Bankstown. 15:23, I think officially. I think that's a great run by Liam. And Sam Hopper coming through for 15:25, another one of the Run Crew athletes. And we've got Sam Shield, another one of the Run Crew athletes coming through here. Probably a PB there for Sam as well. So he comes through 15:41 for him. And this is Greg Frost of Kembla Joggers, 15:47 unofficially for him. Here comes the run to PB, guys. Race on for sub-16 here. And that's Dane Oddison, 15:57 for him. And Sam Jones is just going to be outside, I think. Ben Toomey and Harm Shap just coming across a couple of seconds outside that 16-minute mark as well. And that's a wrap.
Certainly
Good race there.
Yeah.
Tom DeCanto, geez, that was impressive. 14:08, we reckon.
And the sub-15 bus just agonisingly close to getting under. Coxie got under, but I think the other boys would have just missed. So pretty good night's racing. Let's wrap on the A races before we have a look at the 3K champs next week. So the 800 metre race is taken out by a man who can no longer be called B Race Ben Quinn by myself of the Central Performance Track team in a pretty good duel there. With his teammates Lockie Raper and Taylor John. They were the first three over the line. Probably race of the night along with the men's 2K. Jayla Hancock Cameron of Limitless Track Team and host club Bankstown took out a front running performance in the women's 800 metre A race. Imogen Stewart was very impressive in front of the really returning Kate Spencer. I think we're going to see good things from Kate this open season. And in the men's 2,000 metre A race, that was really the race of the night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. Just because there was so many in contention. And I definitely think the guys got the memo. Like, this was a warm-up. We won't call it official or anything, but it was a warm-up for the New South Wales 3K next weekend. And, that potentially could decide some of those last spots in the A race. 4 spots are going to be taken up by South Australians. We know that. We know there's a lot of guys in form who have already raced on the track and run really well over the cross-country season as well. So critical results there, I think. And I think they all stood up and did their very best tonight.
And it's not a typical season because we lost nationals. There was no track racing of any kind during the winter other than one 5K race here. And there hasn't been the same amount of racing in the lead up to the 3K champs, which would ordinarily we would look at in doing the fields next week. So some guys may well have run themselves into an A race tonight. That's going to be one of the cracking races next week, one of the best races of the season, I suspect. Let's talk about that 5,000 metre race to cap off the night. Kieran Toole and Tom DeCando doing the work early on, but Tom was the story of the race, getting a PB.
I think Tom would be really happy with that. I know he's run a couple of the Molars meets out at Narrabeen recently, but I've seen a little bit of him of late. That's definitely been the pick of his races. I think he'll be really happy with that 14:08. And again, it puts him in good stead for the 3K. Makes his mark, shows, boys, I'm in form. Watch out, I'm going to be cracking top 5 maybe.
Next week is the 2020 New South Wales 3,000 metre championships. It has traditionally been the unofficial kick-off of the summer of distance racing in New South Wales. So we get heckled from the background again. I'm not going to be there, so all things going well, we will be able to bring you a live broadcast. Going to depend on a lot on the bloke next to me pressing the right buttons at the right time. So you know who to blame if it all goes upside down. I'll be available on FaceTime from the Hunter Valley to help out. But Jimmy, I'm really looking forward to that. I hope you pull the broadcast off because I'm really looking forward to sitting down and watching it.
I think there's going to be a few people looking forward to it as well. I'm really looking forward to it. We do have one very special guest confirmed. I won't give away his or her identity, but they will very much be joining me in the commentary box later in the night. Hopefully they call just the CB and championship races. But yeah, look, it's like you said, it kicks off the distance racing season properly, I would say. These miles meets are great as warm-up meets, but certainly is one of the best nights of distance racing on our calendar, along with the Albie Thomas Mile, of course. And I think what we took away from last year is that the warm-up track is such a wonderful atmosphere. It's got that really, intimate vibe to it, and people really go around the event. So even if we can't have, I guess, as many spectators at the venue, of course, because of COVID capacity reasons, we hope to bring some of that atmosphere to people's screens next Saturday night.
Should be an absolutely cracking night of racing. The women's field and the men's field are both shaping up to be stellar. There's interstate flavour, as Jimmy was saying, in the men's race. At least 4 coming up from South Australia. We are excruciatingly just missing the opening of the Victorian border by about 2 days. So I think we'd struggle to get too many New South Wales entrants in the field if the Victorian border was open, and similar with Queensland. But it will be a cracking night of racing. I do know who the special guest commentator is going to be on par with last year, I would say. I could give that away. So I think that will be, we get a wave goodbye, that will be a sensational night of racing, not to be missed. All things going well, you'll be able to watch all the action on Athletics New South Wales Facebook and YouTube pages. The Sydney Milers Series has 3 meets to go before the end of the year, and we announce our post-Christmas calendar. The 3K champs, of course, next week. The Friday Night Lights meet at Narrabeen on the 11th of December, and the Albie Thomas Mile, which will bring us back here to the Crest on the 19th of December. If you haven't entered the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships yet, get on and do it. There will be no late entries. There will be no entries after the COVID maximums are reached. So make sure you get on there and be a part of one of the great nights of middle distance running in New South Wales and indeed Australia. I expect the men's race in particular will be the best 3K race in the country this year. James Constantine, thank you for your company once again on the live stream. This has been the 3rd meet of the Sydney Milers Series from the Crest Athletics Track. Thanks for your company, and James, we'll see you next week from the 3K champs.